If you're looking, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today.
Bitch better have my money. I'm a material man, living in a material land. I need the type of things that go bling, bling, bling. I need a woman with a 9 to 5 if she wants to keep this romance alive. Yeah, now bitch better have my money. Ain't get no deal unless you got the case, honey. If you ain't got no bank in your trunk, then you ain't gonna get none of my spunk. That's right. No stunk for you, baby. Gravy, dog, baby, gravy. Oh no, baby. Ain't nothing going on. Ain't nothing going on but the rent. But if you ain't the honeys, then you might as well get bent. I need a woman who's gonna smoke me right, with skin like silk and soft as cotton. I'm high, yeah, high maintenance and hard to please. I need a lady gonna take care of me. I ain't about to get no job that don't fucking make you D's, but I will take another one. Supersize, baby, please, that's right. Please, sugar mama. Now, bitch better have my money. She ain't getting no deal unless you got the K's, honey. And if you ain't got no bank in your trunk, then bitch you ain't getting, then you ain't gonna get none of my spunk. That's right, no baby, gravy. No spicy spunk. No baby gravy. If you wanna be lazy, I need a sugar mama who ain't gonna say no, who always takes me anywhere I wanna go, and buys me a car that I never fucking drive. If she wants to keep this romance alive, that's right. Now bitch better have my money. Ain't getting no deal unless you got the cash, honey. If you ain't got no bank in your trunk, then you ain't gonna get none of my spunk in your trunk, no spunk in your trunk, no, none of my spunk. Baby gravy, bitch better have my money. Ain't getting no deal unless you got the keys, honey. If you ain't got no bank in your trunk, then you ain't gonna get none of my spunk. I need a woman who's heaven sent and who's gonna spend every single cent. That's right, now bitch better have my money. Ain't getting no deal unless you got keys, honey. If you ain't got no money in your trunk, then you ain't gonna get none of my smoke, my baby gravy. My baby gravy. But baby, come get your gravy. Bitch better have my bullets. Bitch better have my money. I'm a material man. Give me intimacy out the case, honey. If you ain't got no bag in your trunk, then you ain't gonna get none of my spunk. That's right, no spunk for you. My spicy spunk is off limits. The spunk is off limits. Limitless. Better have my money. Ain't nothing going on limitless. But the butter and honey.
As a reminder, I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so, having said that, I want me some glory hole.
Ole! You see flying through that window, he's the pride of Mexico. No lady can resist the magic of his kiss, the woo of his tongue. No man can resist the might of his fist. When he starts, you'll be done, son. That's right. Here he comes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mexican Iron Man. He's made from aluminum cans. He's flying through the air. Whoa, catch him if you can. No lady can resist the magic in his kiss, the woo of his tongue. No man can resist the might of his fist. When he starts on you, you'll be done, son.
Excuse me, ma'am. No porn at the bar.
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh, I had no idea. Do whatever you want all the time.
Television highlights of the news of yesteryear.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to the weekly wrap-up here on Midnight's Edge After Dark. I want to thank everybody who's joined us from Scribe Light Stream. Welcome, everybody, and we'll hopefully have the Valiant Renegade crew along shortly, but good morning, good evening, good night, whatever it is, where you is, afternoon, I don't know. It could be somewhere. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, I know that much. And we have Six with us. It's also 6 o'clock somewhere, I'm sure. How you doing, Six?
Well, I have a cold and I feel pretty crappy, but I checked the stream. I thought, well, I'll check the stream and I'll drop off a like and see how I feel. And I saw that there's a poll. And the Halloween list was like 60%, and the 21st century movie list was at 40%. And I was like, well, obviously Halloween's gonna win. So I jump out of bed and I set up my computer and I made myself some hot cocoa and I sat down and I thought, oh fuck. But I'm here. Yeah. And it's not too late to turn it around, folks.
Well, we have a whole nother crowd that'll come in after VR's show is done. So there's still a chance. We got the bullshit time period here. We would just sit here and bullshit for a little bit until Valiant's done and we have enough people voted as far as I'm concerned. So it has a chance. So 6 is lobbying right now.
Yes.
The Halloween movies.
Definitely.
So keep that in mind, folks. Also joining us, and the reason why we have at least probably 100 some people watching so far, Scribelight, how are you doing?
Oh, well, that's very flattering of you. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for having me on, Tom. And I think this is the first time I'm saying hello to Six. So hello, Six.
Oh, I guess you guys have never been on a stream together, but she's been in the background probably. But
Hi, Scribelight.
Hello.
She's seen your ass, is what I'm saying. She just
What?
Looking at it right now, actually, because I'm both on the panel and backstage at the same time.
Under my chair.
multi-talented.
Oh my gosh.
And somebody who's got probably a very nice toned ass because he works out all the time and makes me feel like a fat schlub. Andy Masterson, how are you doing today?
I'm choking.
Are you all right there, buddy?
Don't inhale coffee.
No, that's not a good idea. Why don't you go? I would say take a drink, but that's how you got in this mess.
I'm all right.
Yeah,
It's working its way out.
Yeah, you're probably going to be coughing for like a good half an hour, just getting rid of that the tiniest little irritation on your trachea will set you off.
Was that the alternative cut of the Abyss where they're breathing in coffee instead of that oxygen fluid?
You know, that would be glorious.
A
constant supply of really good coffee or whiskey.
Yeah.
There's an idea.
I vote for Halloween.
All right.
Of course, I vote for Halloween every season of the year anyway. So.
I could imagine, yeah. I mean, you're a lot like me. You're into the same kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, we got to prepare for what our watching is going to be for this upcoming month. We got to know now what we need to watch. That's why it's the last week.
Well, that's the beauty of this list, right? Because this is 85 of the best supposed Halloween films, and I'm sure there's going to be at least another 15 or so that we come up with that aren't on this list, so people can get their pens and pencils or their pens and paper handy to write down the movies that they want to see this year that they may never have heard of before or reminded of tonight. So I think this will be a fun list if it wins. If not, But I did notice somebody who was a little upset about the lists that we do, and I understand because some of them are usually crappy, and we end up arguing about the stuff that's on them, not so much amongst ourselves, but with the list itself. Let's say
we're arguing with the author. We're arguing with the author by proxy. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have talked about doing our own lists in the past, and that is something we took into consideration. And I made a big decision here in this last week, and we haven't solidified everything yet. We're still working on it, so this is more of a soft announcement than anything. But we're going to try to do our own lists from now on Sunday night and see how that works for a while. No other lists but than ours, but it's going to take a little time to implement that. So bear with us while we get that worked out and all the kinks in the format and all that kind of stuff. We're also going to find ways where you guys can get involved as well. So, as I said, stay tuned for more announcements, and we need a title as well. So if you guys have any suggestions for titles, please throw them in the chat and in the comments after the show. But
I've already suggested List of the North Star and 10 to Midnight. That was my...
Yeah, I was going to say 10 to Midnight or Countdown to Midnight would be a good one too. Those two are pretty much so far. But come up with something original, guys. Something that kind of says that we're counting down our favorite things in entertainment or least favorite things, or something to that effect. And it's going to be kind of what the whole gist of it is. But yeah, so far tonight, the options are the top 21 films of the 21st century so far, and the other list is the 85 Halloween films. So do your voting now. I see we have. We've had most of the viewing audience voted so far, so that's good. And when the VR crew gets in here, we'll have to have them vote as well.
It's kind of weird thinking that we're a quarter of a century into the 21st century almost.
I know. Time flies when you're watching the world slowly fall apart. I was going to say, is there a Halloween equivalent of Die Hard? Like something that technically is a Halloween movie? I'm trying to think. Because if Halloween is part of the plot, it's usually a big part of the plot, right?
I think this Five Nights at Freddy movies that's coming out is going to kind of be the equivalent to that. But I get what you're saying. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Nothing offhand is like ringing a bell, but I'm sure you could draw some parallels between some sort of haunted house kind of movie or something
that
to
isn't a horror movie, but Halloween is a major figure in the plot line. Like,
gotcha.
Like Die Hard. Christmas is the setting, but the movie isn't exactly a Christmas movie in genre or theme.
Right.
Is there Halloween equivalent, do you think?
I'm sure there's E.T.
Oh yeah, You said it and shit in the chats at ET. I mean, like, okay.
I was gonna say, there's probably a couple that are not necessarily revolved around the idea of Halloween, but even ET calls attention to the fact that it takes place during Halloween.
Yeah, but it's not a Halloween
but it's not central
movie.
to the plot. Well,
no, they
up.
didn't technically need it for the scheme to work, but you could have come up with other ways. But
kids dress up all the time.
Yeah, that's
true.
People
usually don't quote E.T. as a Halloween movie, so I guess that kind of works. Yeah, okay.
That's probably the best example I can think of. Because even people said Practical Magic. Well, that's a movie about witches, so that can fall into the Halloween category easily. So.
Yeah.
But no, this is one of my favorite times of the year, and as you can tell, Six fucking hates this time of the year. She can't stand it. She's sick and tired of it already. What?
Oh my god. I love Halloween so much. Whatever the question, Halloween is the answer.
Is Halloween 6 your favorite Halloween movie?
No, the first one, the 1970.
Of course. No, the 6th thing comes from the Star Wars films, right?
Sort of. There's there's kind of a bucket full of little bits and pieces from me that go into how I ended up as 6.
Okay, 6. When do you start decorating for Halloween?
She already started.
Or are you,
when I go?
Is that the equivalent of you like the redneck Christmas where you just leave the Christmas lights up all year long?
Like she said,
it's a constant replays. Like, the day after Halloween, everything goes, 30%
back
off
to
or
reset
half off, and that's probably when I buy most of my stuff.
Yeah.
See,
and video, and then there's like the really cool stuff that won't be there at clearance. So you're sitting there. Should I pay full price for this?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Halloween has a blank check on me.
Vidiot Savant is right. Batman Forever is another film that takes place during Halloween that isn't so much integral to the plot itself. Kind of like how the second movie is a kind of a Christmas theme in the background.
That's true.
Yeah. Yep. And that was kind of funny is why I don't know why, because even Batman Returns has a costume party in it, even though it's a Christmas movie. The joke is because the joke is that Bruce Wayne and Selina show up with no costumes on, but everybody else does.
Well, but those are their costumes.
That's the joke. I get it. Yeah. They're not the joke, but the cleverness or whatever I'm trying to say.
Yes. Ooh, I saw Chato on the Twitters.
Well, if he pops in here, there's an automatic veto on the list anyway. So
obviously, so
why?
Yeah, because we've been waiting to do this top 50 TV shows of all time with Paul, and he never shows up until like the last minute.
Oh, okay.
So if he shows up here before we actually get started, then that's what happens. But
is it number one going to be MASH, or am I just like jumping? I haven't.
Or Cheers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cheers. Oh wow, what's that?
It's going to be Krampus.
Oh, okay. I see it now.
Nice.
Here's his little
antler cool.
thingies.
That's awesome.
And did you make that yourself?
Yeah, I sculpted this guy here.
Oh, keen.
And I'm doing his goat legs, which will plug onto the body, like the standard body, and he's going to have like a really soiled looking Santa Claus outfit with a
awesome
quiver full of birch sticks that he can beat the bad children with.
Cool. Beat those little fuckers.
I still haven't seen Krampus. It's a good movie though.
It was all right. This is what I ran away for a second for, because you guys were talking about things that you don't wait until they're on clearance to get for Halloween. I don't know how well this is going to show up, but these are like these light dome things that throw off things. And I got
oh yeah,
Jason here. It's Friday the 13th.
Nice.
We got Chucky. You can kind of see it on the box in the background, but it's too bright. Yeah, but it throws it up all over the wall and shit. And here's a cool one too, of course. Nightmare Before Christmas.
I don't like that movie. I
They're
know.
doing. Wait, you're a girl?
I am a woman. Yeah.
Okay. That's surprising. Like Winnie the Pooh and Nightmare
Surprising
Before
that I'm
Christmas
a
are like
woman?
the. No. Surprising that you don't like Nightmare Before Christmas, because that's like that and Winnie the Pooh are sort of like the standard. That's what girls from my generation love beyond anything else.
Well, I like Twilight. Does that make up for it?
Maybe. I was gonna say, if you're into like any of the Halloween chicks, like that was their thing growing up, was like you would get in your like emo starter kit was like Nightmare Before Christmas.
I'm more Beetlejuice when it comes to my emo.
All right, that's fair.
That's probably fair.
I'm
Are they
actually
doing
looking
a live
forward
action?
to Beetlejuice too.
So what now?
What'd you say, Andy?
I'm actually looking forward to this Beetlejuice too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It might not suck.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, like, with the law of averages, they have to get something right other than Ghostbusters Afterlife.
But will it be the same without Jeffrey Jones? I mean, he really brought that movie together.
Now 6 is probably looking up Jeffrey Jones.
Yeah. There's
No,
a story.
I wasn't. I was
there.
reading chat.
Oh, okay. I was just saying, because I mean, I'm not saying you don't know who he is, but you're probably wondering why. What happened
I know
to him?
who Jeffrey Jones is.
Okay.
Well, do you know why he probably wouldn't be in the sequel?
Because he's dead.
No, he died.
Did he?
I don't know.
I don't
Why?
think so,
Why wouldn't he be?
If he
in the
died
sequel?
in prison, I don't
Is
know.
he in jail?
He would have been on an island somewhere.
Let's just say, yeah, he was kind of caught up into some
Oh, that's right.
diddle
Yeah.
stuff.
Don't
a
say
while
it.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said diddle.
I was honestly surprised, just as an aside, when he was hired on into Deadwood and appeared in the movie. All things considered, that was kind of surprising.
Actually, I don't think he actually went to jail or prison for anything. I think he kind of. I don't think there was any physical thing for him. I think they just found like pictures.
It was something
let's
to do
say
with, it was pictures or art or something.
Yeah, well, that was a
really,
thing.
Yeah.
It was, there was a funky mess because a lot of them were like wrapped up in it, but he was one of the only ones besides a few others that got charged because some of it was art, but I believe him and a couple other people that we've probably never even heard of before who did get charged with it actually did have bad
real
things.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, when you call it art, I feel like that's, and I know you're not trying to justify it, but it sounds like somebody would use the term art to describe it to try to justify it.
Right. But what we're talking about here was like, okay, from my memory, because one of the other more famous people who got wrapped up in it was Pee Wee Herman, actually. And the thing there was, and he got completely, what's the word, exonerated, because that's what he had. He had been, because his connection with Jeffrey was he bought some art from him or whatever, some actual legitimate paintings. Okay. So like that was a whole thing, and it actually just happened to have, I can't remember the artist, but it like had like cherub children or whatever it was that were naked on it or some shit like that, or something to that effect, is my understanding. So he was completely exonerated along with quite a few others. But in this whole like deal that was going down, yeah, Jeffrey and a few other people I think were charged, but I don't know if he ever actually did any jail time or anything like that. Because I believe he had already been convicted by the time they did that Deadwood movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah,
right,
no,
Andy?
it was years after the fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Jeffrey
he
got
technically
community service.
There you go.
Probation.
Yeah. So I don't know how bad of what it was that he had found on him or who he paid off, but we have a couple more people joining us. We have Brian, aka that 70s rock fan.
Good evening.
And we have another gentleman here who's probably going to be hating me within the next few months because of this whole list thing. Toxic Man Flu.
Just making work for yourselves.
That's okay, Tom. I hate you now, so it's all right.
It's already predestined.
Yeah, we are pre-hating. No, I'm pretty excited about it. We'll see how much work it becomes, but
it might.
I think it's going to be a great idea.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be fun. So I kind of soft announced it already, but as I said, we don't really have anything set in stone yet. So
the greatest movie of all time, Breakin', and Breakin' 2, Electric.
But that's two movies, Toxic. That's two.
No, they're just one. There's the same movie.
One's about dancing, one's about hip hop music.
Okay.
Oh, rapping was about hip hop music.
Rapping.
That's the third movie. That's the trilogy.
No, the best
Rapping,
movie
baby.
is The Hunt for Red October. Greatest movie ever made.
Yes.
Besides
Yes, it
RoboCop,
was.
you mean?
Above RoboCop.
Oh, no, hold up.
The Muppet movie beats all movies. So.
No. See, there's cinema, and then there's cinematic classics like The Godfather, Citizen Kane, and RoboCop.
Fistful of Yen.
Fistful of Yen is the greatest movie ever made. I'll stand by that.
Oddly enough, that's the name of a Chinese porno.
We got some super chats and member chats here. Tripping Orc has been a member for 6 months and gifted 5 Midnight's Edge After Dark memberships. Thank you so much for that, Tripping Orc. Jason Webster says Expendables opened to 19 million worldwide. Yeah, it's dead. It's dead.
Wow.
Folks.
They did no advertising for that.
I have a feeling we'll talk about that on the morning show because I had found recently Screen Rant did a write-up. I hadn't been following the movie up to this point because I didn't even really know it existed until not too long ago, and just found out there was some drama behind the scenes with Sly. So we'll have to look into that and talk about it on the morning show. But this is about totally different stuff. But thank you for the support. 16-bit mascot says, "Hail Midnight's Edge After Dark." Hail to the chat. Cheers to all the fine peeps. Well, thank you, 16-bit mascot. And then Tripping Orc also says, "Countdown to Midnight might be an option." Yeah, that was one of them. I think Nick came up with that one, or was that you two, Scribe, that came up with that one?
I think that might have been one of the first ones I threw out there. I can't remember.
It might have been.
Well, maybe. I can't remember.
Either way, one of y'all came up with it. Southern Belle says, "I hear Lauren Boebert liked Beetlejuice too." Yo.
Hey.
Not really. She seemed bored.
I love when we hit that button at the same time.
Oh, did we?
Mm-hmm.
I think he was watching Ed Wood.
Oh,
no.
There it is.
Oh.
Andy gets a email grown out of that one. Hello.
So yeah, let's see where the vote's at.
Well, she just went to the movie and they sat on his lap and they talked about the first thing that came up. That's fine.
Hello, yes.
Yeah.
Well, the poll is
speaking of the poll, yes.
Leaning into the 21st century here with 54%. And quite a few of you have done voting, so I can't really ask too many more to vote. Only about 50 some of you, 60 of you so watching haven't voted yet. So it's getting tight. Is Valiant still streaming or is he done? I don't think he's finished yet.
Who cares? Do your own show.
No. I know, but I'm waiting until we have people to vote. So, but at this point, it's not looking good for the Halloween thing. So that's all right. It's not Halloween yet, but I know 6 will be disappointed. So you want to lobby for it just a little bit more?
No, I'm gonna go back to bed. My team lost.
Well, there you go, kids. If you want 6 to stick around, then you better start voting for Halloween.
Do the Halloween, man. We need estrogen on the panel.
Well, isn't let's see, next Sunday is October 1st, isn't it? So I mean, if you had to do a Halloween list, the 1st of October is not a bad.
Yeah, I'm not panicking.
Sure, do it on my weekend one.
I was gonna say I think she works though, so she's gonna be pissed.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, see, so yeah, we're doing it now.
I could always just veto it, and we'll just do the
Make an executive decision there.
I could.
No, do what the chat wants.
Tom, close the poll.
Control.
Close the poll, and then a box of votes will be found that you can use.
That's true. Wisconsin just reported that they found a new truckload of unreported
most
votes.
popular poll ever polled before.
And I
That's
heard
right. How many people do we have? So we will find 1,000 more people watching.
I can't believe it. We've got 500 votes, but only 300 people are
happen?
watching. I don't know.
I don't know where that came from.
Hey, we got a gentleman in a smoking jacket.
What's up?
How you doing, Brahma?
Pretty good.
And a
How about
drinking liver.
dystopian future?
And drinking what?
Dystopian. I like it.
He has a smoking jacket and a drinking liver.
Oh, drinking liver.
It's true.
So, Brahma, what's your choice for the poll, and why is it Halloween movies?
Halloween movies probably going to be the better list because it's longer. We've got more to talk about. I don't trust any of these lists that we've done that are going to give me 21 of the best of the 21st century. It'll probably be mostly foreign films and crap. So,
We just starting to get a Valiant raid, so vote quick, kids, because we're going to shut down the poll here pretty soon.
I pre-screened that 21 of the 21st century films.
You watched all of them?
Yeah, I watched all those films in 15 minutes. You know,
Does it suck balls?
Yeah, there's some dumbass shit on that list.
It's probably put together by some.
There was one on there in the comedy category that I literally did a spit take and was quickly wiping off the electronics on my desk. So
Pluto Nash?
Yeah, exactly. Leonard
Cinematic
Part
masterpiece.
6. Yeah.
Well, and that's the beauty of these lists is the one that might be a quick enough one that we'll get to the Halloween one anyway, or vice versa.
Oh yeah, you could zip through that 21 one and us just go what the F to a couple of them.
You know what? Maybe that's what we'll do.
Just do it.
Well,
then we'll just go do the Halloween one.
Then we'll do the Halloween one because
we don't have to cut short for culture.
This is true. This is
You're
also
not doing
true.
a show tonight.
He's not
marrying his brother's wife again or something.
Something or other. I have no idea what's going on.
Brother's wife's college roommate or whatever it was from Spaceballs. Yeah.
Oh, your sister's brothers, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Which is what we're about to become. So that's right. We have no reigns tonight. We can go crazy because he said he would let me know, but he hasn't said shit.
Punch a higher floor.
Yeah.
Punch a
I'm
higher
gonna go over to Comics Division's member stream.
Punch through the colon.
But
and then you never know if Paul shows up. What would happen next?
Well, he did say something in the.
I just noticed that. It's like, when is it?
Something
And
racist.
then we have to jump into that list we've been saving.
I know. All right, let's start here real quick. Let's see how bad this is. So don't go too far, 6, please. 'Cause you never know.
What?
All right.
Just keep it 6.
It's only
We
21
need
of
some
them.
estrogen. We need some estrogen on the channel.
Yeah, but I sound like a dude right now.
No, you don't.
You do not sound like a dude.
But I feel like a woman.
What's you write a song about number 1 and then
hey!
Oh, everything's
He's
going
here.
out.
He's here.
You
He
should be
made it.
Too many people. I thought you were desperate for bodies.
We are needing you right now. Like
I'm leaving him soon.
Oh man, so here we go, guys.
Like Taylor Swift and her most recent boyfriend. I'll be
The
out.
beauty
in
of this
15 minutes.
is we don't have a bedtime tonight.
You'll be
So,
the subject of an album, Toxic.
Yes.
let's see here. So Paul is here. Paul is
Hello.
here. How are you doing, Paul?
Good. I'm good. My daughter came. She's doing a convention in Toronto, and then decided to pop by the old house and visit her folks for a couple of days. So we're really thrilled. But she's pooped, and I asked permission to come down and do this.
Oh, that was sweet of her.
Said, "Can I come down and have fun with the boys?" And she said, "Yeah."
We've been saving this list.
When the child is pooped,
I
is
know.
totally different from when they're 1 to 2 years old.
Oh, and now it's a
when they're
party.
much older.
The party just really arrived. The man who has all the booze, Nick Weiser.
Yeah. Hello.
And all the pizza snacks.
I might
And
have
the
to give
pizza
my
snacks.
greatest TV show.
I just
of all
had
time.
pizza rolls in honor of Nick. I said 8:32.
Oh man. Oh, I'm touched.
Is that one of the Fortune Foods or the whatever that company is?
I don't know. Actually, I
are
think
we
it's
supposed to
Tabasco
boycott
or
them
something
now?
like that, maybe.
We should do
No,
a countdown of the top 10 movie snacks.
Ooh, man.
Wow,
That's a good list.
According to Lauren Boebert.
Lauren Bluebird. Yeah. We've
Lauren
got
likes hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
Trippy Gork who points out that Shadow is here now. We have a real show.
Yep, that's fine. Yeah,
Well, that's very nice, Tripping Art.
Southern
Thank you very
Bell
much.
says top 100 alpha male movies of the 70s and 80s. That's definitely one we'll take into
That
consideration.
would be all of
Southern
them.
Bell.
That
That's a
would
great
be,
one.
yes.
That
All
would be
Many to
good.
choose.
But all right, kids, this is it. We've been sitting on this list for a long time.
Yeah, I've been looking at this list. I mean, actually, I don't know what's on it.
50 greatest TV shows of all time. And I wanted Paul here, and I'm going to move him up here. Sorry.
I thought, Paul, you'd memorized every TV guide ever.
In fact, I'll just be a gentleman and do this. There you go.
I'm pretty good from 1965 on.
Yeah. Well, this is a top 50 greatest
That's what
shows
she
of all
said.
time. And I mean, really, that's and that's kind of the still part of the golden age of television, I would say, because television's golden age started what, in the mid 50s, going into the early 60s.
Right. When did Johnny Carson take over for Parr?
Was that late 60s?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the age, kind of what
he went for 30 years and finished in the 70s.
Oh, so it was the 70s then?
Yeah, I think it was the 70s.
So
Because Johnny was doing stuff in the 60s, but only as a guest host, I think.
Gotcha.
And a game show host, and
Right.
so, but the Tonight Show went for 30 years.
So, this is a recent issue of TV Guide, which still does exist.
Actually, this was from the 50th anniversary, so this was like 2002.
Oh, so this is a while ago?
Yeah.
Oh, never
So
mind.
it'll have older
Well,
shows.
TV Guide does still exist, but it's
right.
a pale comparison to what it used to be. But it does exist beyond Paul's channel.
The best part of TV Guide is Paul's channel.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad that I was able to see the tail end of the, some good television.
Well, so basically, this is the best television then of the 20th century. Let's say.
And I mean, I got to see a lot of shows being taped live, like Barney Miller.
Oh yeah.
And,
Barney Miller. Oh,
Barney Miller.
Cheers. Now, Barney Miller only had an audience for the first couple of shows, and then they abandoned it because
really?
Then they didn't have an audience at all. But I saw the Michael J. Fox show. I saw Cheers. I saw Mary Tyler Moore. I mean, it was just such an amazing time. And one of the reasons I was down there, actually, not to bore you guys, was in Canada, all our sitcoms had this weird look that anyone could tell, oh, that's a Canadian piece of shit sitcom. Whereas then I went to the States on purpose to try to find out how they light their sitcoms and why do they look different, and why does an American sitcom look like an American sitcom? Because I'm a lighting guy. Believe it or not, I'm a nerd, and it's fascinating. It was really an amazing difference between how they were able to light. I won't get into lighting techniques here, but it was they needed a lot of light. Let me tell you, they pushed a lot of BTUs. So it was a fun time, and I feel badly that network television sucks now because I still think it has a place. They've just lost their way.
I agree with that sentiment. I truly believe there's people out there who have great ideas. We just haven't heard them because they're absolutely being gatekept by people who just want to recycle the hell out of everything that has a pre-existing fan base. And I truly believe we potentially have the best days ahead as long as those people can get their foot in the door, whether it's through, the bigwigs or independently. Some might call me eternal optimistic about that, but I truly believe that there's so many ideas we don't know. I mean, at one point in time, a lot of the franchises we know and love, they didn't have a name or built-in base at one point in time. They were obscure and unknown too, and that's something a lot of us tend to forget as well, including Hollywood themselves.
And I think there's a bit more cynical time now. I mean, if the A-Team came out now, would we watch it? If Knight Rider came out now, would we watch it? Baywatch. I mean, these are what I would call, and I'm not even going back to the Flying Nun, the ridiculous show. Okay? I'm not even talking about that. But like Green Acres, if anybody watches that show, it's an insanely surreal show. I don't think people have this. Oh, it's Petticoat Junction. No,
it is not.
It's on
totally
acid.
Different.
It is got some of the cleverest gags and situations, and the two repair people who couldn't fix the closet, and you didn't know whether they were gay or not gay, and I mean, wow. And Eddie Albert playing it so straight. What absolute genius. So there's stuff like that out there. And even Beverly Hills, the Beverly Hillbillies, I don't think anyone realizes just what a good actor Buddy Ebsen was. Buddy Ebsen was.
Oh, Buddy Ebsen, yeah.
And how straight he played it. He was not. He wasn't making faces, and people's recollection of those shows are that they're crazy. It's like, no, everyone's like overacting. No, absolutely not at all. So there's a huge amount of craft that is lying there that people have no idea still exists. Anyway, so I'm prattling, but I love the history of this TV network stuff.
No, Beverly Hillbillies just looked like my family. No, seriously, Granny. My great grandmother, whose name was William, we called her Grandma Bill, and yeah. So my grandfather's name was Clovis Laverne. Seriously, who knows what was going on back in those days? Oh, it's going to be a girl because it rained on Tuesday and blah blah blah. So but Granny from Beverly Hillbillies was my great grandma.
Wow, was there a Cletus in the family?
There was a Cletus, believe it or not. There was a Cletus. Yeah, some say it might have been me.
I was just thinking that Toxic. I bet that's you.
Yeah. Raymond Bailey is the dry military, and Nancy Culp. Okay.
Oh yeah.
As Jane Hathaway.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and you had people in those shows that you look back and they did so much stuff in the early days of Hollywood.
Yes.
They came in and did these shows. And one of my favorite television shows of all time, Perry Mason, that I shared with my mother, and all the seasons, and that's what we would buy her for Christmas. Everything was when they came out on DVDs. So many people that were on that show.
Raymond Burr, one of Canada's premier poofters.
He had his own winery.
Yep.
He was the premier orchid importer in the United States, and was responsible for education and health increases in the Polynesian countries that he was in. Raymond Burr has a very long, colorful life outside of Hollywood. From there,
my friend still believes he shot Alexander Hamilton.
He might have.
Is that how he ended up in the wheelchair?
Yes, it is. But all right, so let's crack into this.
We could keep going all night.
I'm going to end the poll because guess what, kids? We're going to do all of them. I don't fucking care. Because we have no culture.
Tom.
We have no culture. No, we have no culture to stop for tonight, so we can do all the lists. Paul can stay here for this list when he gets tired and has to go to bed, which he does.
By the way, Carson started in October 1962.
62.
Ooh, see, I was right. It was the 60s.
You were right. It was the 60s. Yeah.
My only regret, Tom, is that this is an American list, so it won't have Benny Hill in it.
Oh, that's true. Well, you never know. Is it only for American television shows? Then that may be the case. Number 50, kicking it off with a bang. Speaking of the 60s, going into the 70s, Bewitched, which ran from 64 to 72.
Should be way higher.
Well, no, but let's see what other ones that they have. And
that's
then
the thing.
Decide.
Now, which Darren is it?
Darren York.
I never noticed he changed.
Dick Sargent, Dick York, Sergeant York.
See, this is one that made it across the pond. I watched it as a
Dick.
kid. It was very popular in the UK. Some of these made it, and some didn't.
So
Bewitched was huge.
My dad was a big fan of the show, and I'm pretty sure I think my grandma on my dad's side as well loved the show. I'd watch episodes, but I wasn't deeply knowledgeable. I knew some of the funny bits and of course some of the key characters, but as a kid, because I've not watched it since I was like 8 or 7, I enjoyed it for what it was, even though I didn't truly understand TV, and I was really invested in Tom and Jerry at the time. But this is a fun show.
And
yeah.
All right.
I thought Elizabeth Montgomery was great.
Oh, she was hot.
I mean, she made the show. I mean, and you got a great supporting cast with Agnes Moorehead and Paul Lynn and all those
Paul
guys.
Lynn.
His uncle Arthur was great.
Are you kidding me?
God, I loved him. Hollywood Squares, where I first saw him, and
it was a TV Land staple or a Nick at Night staple for years. So yeah, Oprah Winfrey Show. Okay, sure. I mean, I guess in the whole grand scheme of things, I mean,
what is the
Jerry
nightly
Springer
news
gonna
going to
be
be
on
on
there
there too?
Well,
So this is what best shows of all time, or
where's Phil Donahue?
Best television shows of all time.
Okay.
Whoops. Shit. Not what I wanted to do.
Yeah, keep
Okay.
going. We don't need to talk about her.
Yeah. Taxi. Here we go.
Taxi, all right.
Now here's a show that was 70s into the 80s, and of course introduced us to people like Danny DeVito, Christopher Lloyd, Andy Kaufman, Tony Danza. Judd Hirsch was on the show. I think he was already well established, but yeah, I mean, it was this is one of my dad's favorite shows. And it says here it was canceled twice. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it wasn't very popular. The ratings were bad. Part of the problem with Taxi is it's what I call a workplace show, where if everyone is actually working, no one is fucking there.
No one's
That's one of the challenges. So when I was reading scripts, and I would get a workplace show, which one of the reasons I hated Superstore, because I would have fired every fucking person there. Like, get back to work. Like, what are you doing? It drives me nuts. I mean, you had On the Buses and things like that, and Are You Being Served?
Oh, great shows.
Are You Being Served?
Are
was
You
so
Being
good.
Served is not a good show.
No,
It's
but
an
On the
awesome
Buses,
show.
On the
It's one of the
Buses was
best
a
ones.
great show.
But
It's
On
no
the
Faulty
Bus-
Towers. I'll just say that.
Keeping Up with Appearances, one of the funny. It's not Keeping Up the Appearances will not be on this list, but one of the funniest shows of all time.
Mrs. Bucket. Mrs. Bucket.
I agree.
Bouquet.
It's one of the very few shows that I would watch with my dad.
Yeah, this is something my dad liked as well.
That's what I said. It's one of my dad's favorites. But like I said, I would say this is almost kind of like a predecessor to Cheers in a way, even though it's not, connected anyhow.
So this was done,
but it
by
has the same kind of tone. Yeah.
So Stan Daniels, who graduated from working on Mary Tyler Moore, worked on this. This was his show, and he was a Canadian boy, and I met him, and just a fantastic, wonderful person. And the thing is, and you're talking about how shitty shows are right now. Let me tell you, Stan Daniels, absolute brilliant writer producer, was not allowed to write a script until he had gone through a whole bunch of training at Mary Tyler at MTM. Then he got to punch up scripts. Then he got a chance to write a script that somebody else gave him the story for. Then he got a chance to write his own story. Then, after becoming a producer on Mary Tyler Moore, then he was allowed to do Taxi. So now some schmuck graduates from gender theory fuckhole university, comes out and gets a show, with Rick and Morty or some bullshit.
Oh, you're 100% right. Yeah.
And that's, I mean, how do you compare that with the kinds of training and on-site experience that these early writers got? And Taxi's only 48. Anyway, let's keep going. So I thought I would convey that to you.
All right, we'll keep moving here. We've got next in line Rocky and Bullwinkle. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh
dun.
yeah, love this show. Now this one I remember. Oh, so many memories. Cereal bowls.
We're Boris and Natasha.
Never made a cent. It was the guy who did it originally was always bankrupt, always on the edge of just trying to keep this show going.
Yet here we are in 2023, 60 years later after
I
it was
love
done
it.
for. And yeah, no, I love the show. I remember
This
the intro was
show-
iconic, the voices were iconic.
That's right.
I still look at the animation, the style. Yeah, I enjoyed
It's
the
very
wholesomeness of the
much
show.
like a predecessor to like South Park in a way. Now, before you go like, what? No, what I mean
I'm
is,
listening.
What?
what I mean is, this show was done on the fucking cheap.
Oh yeah.
Like the cheapest you could do, but you know what made it work and why it's memorable and why it sticks around is because it was well written, because the jokes land, because they're universal, they're green or they're evergreen, right? It's not shoved full of a bunch of like current references. They reference a lot of historical things and other things, and the spin-off shows that came off of Rocky and Bullwinkle were brilliant too, right? Like Sherman and Peabody, and you had Dudley Do-Right and all that kind of stuff. So like just this kind of stuff, to me, it was like quintessential like grassroots animation done right, because the writing is what makes it work. right?
I
At the
feel
end
it's
of the
more
day.
a predecessor to Animaniacs because that had a more
It
variety.
could, well,
show
in that
aspect to it.
is maybe in the tone, but I mean in the
Yeah.
idea that you can make something that for nothing and it still works because of the writing is so clever, right? Like
Sure.
that's the thing. But
Everything
no,
I
I
ever
totally
learned
get where
about
you're coming
Canada, I
from.
learned from this show.
Hey, Rocky. Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Ooh, wrong hat.
Again.
And you had some fantastic voice work from all sorts of people.
Yeah.
And the jokes were either really bad Jewish jokes or unbelievably perceptive. Like very, hey, welcome to What's the Matter You?
Yeah.
You know?
Great wordplay, like it says right
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Jay Ward drew on outrageous wordplay, Cold War satire, and marvelous sense of absurd to map the way for every adult's love it to cartoon. Yeah. Anyway.
Boris
Yeah.
Badenov.
When I get my hands on that squirrel and that moose.
Moose, this is the last time you're going to get away, Moose.
I am going to eat him alive.
You know what? All I learned everything I knew about Russia, I learned from that show too.
And you know what? Natasha was actually hot with those little extended boobies. I mean, Boris. Next Generation is 46. Okay, that's interesting.
That seems
That's
kinda
my
low to
favorite
me.
Star Trek.
Yeah, it seems a little low, I'm gonna say, but like Paul said earlier, this is 50 shows
Best
drawing on
shows.
basically 50 some years of television, more or less.
Yeah, we'll see whether the Ernie Kovacs.
Yeah, I think that Star Trek: The Next Generation being on this list is a big thing.
But I mean, is Ernie Kovacs, which is arguably one of the most innovative shows in television history, will it be on this list and up higher? So,
but
My mom loved that show. Percy Dove Tonsils was her favorite little skit that he did. I don't know.
But I agree with Six. I may always be a Shatner, fan as far as he's my favorite Captain Kirk. But I actually like Generation better as a show than the original.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
They got into a gear once they decided,
Right.
hey, this is actually working.
Yeah, season 3.
Well, and this one was my Star Trek. This is the one I grew
Exactly.
up watching.
That's what I
so
mean. Yeah.
Yeah, this
I had to
was
go back to watch the original series.
Yeah, the original series is what I grew up with, seeing that on Friday nights with the Godzilla films and the Sherlock Holmes and the scary, black and white scary films. So when I got to this one, it was must-see TV. But man, Wesley, back to my annoying child phobia, I guess. Gee whiz, could they not just kill him off?
You know what? You got to try shit. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
that he was supposed to be the connection to the young people out there. Okay, what's that? Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks above
Yeah,
Star Trek.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about this being above Star Trek: The Next Generation, though. Yes, this was a big deal. It still is talked about to this day, and sometimes for the wrong reasons, because sadly it was one of those shows that like everybody was watching, and then ABC, wasn't it, that had the show? Yeah. They pressured Lynch into answering the question that the show was built upon.
Right.
Right. And to me, that's no different than if you get together your main two duo who are, will they, won't they duo carrying the show together. Once you answer that grand mystery of the show, it really kind of.
Well, they should have solved the Laura Palmer death earlier so they could have another one.
Or other mysteries. Yeah. But that's the thing, is that's not what Lynch was trying to do. Right.
And you know what? I
that's the
remember
thing.
my mom and I yelling at the television show, just solve the thing. We're done. We've had it.
See, and that's the thing, is you're right, but at the same time, that's where I think ABC and some of the audience missed the whole point of the show.
No, I get it, but it got really tedious.
Oh yeah.
I think, Paul, it was an achievement just getting your mother and father to watch it. I mean, when you consider the show and it was a David Lynch.
My dad never watched TV. He fell asleep in front of it.
Well, there's that.
Some
one of
things
those
never change.
Yeah.
Especially if golf was on.
Yeah, this did feature an early appearance by
Maddox.
Comics Division, of course, in various episodes.
Yes, he talked backwards. Yeah.
My dad loved falling asleep in front of Mannix and Barnaby Jones.
I remember when Comics
Mannix.
Division. I remember when Comics Division came out and said, "Your favorite type of gum is going to come back into style."
Who was the lady with the log?
Oh,
wow.
Shit. I'm trying to
No,
remember
it's
her
the
name.
setup.
Yeah.
You're supposed to say we call her the log lady.
Oh, the log lady. I thought you meant the actual actress. My
Oh,
bad.
no. Wasn't that Cloris Leachman or something?
No.
I was gonna. No, it was. It was one of Lynch's. Wasn't it one of his regulars, or was it somebody who was just somebody he picked up, like, who's never really acted otherwise?
I'm just waiting for another show with June
Been a long time
Foray
since I've seen it.
June Foray in it. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
next.
we got Bob Newhart show.
Okay.
This would be the one where he was a
psychologist.
Yeah. It was all right.
I would put this above his other one, even though it had
you would, huh?
The three guys, yes, because he was actually nice to Suzanne Plachette. Whereas if you rewatch the Bob Newhart show in where was he, Valhalla or whatever, but Vermont.
With the little cabin thing, with the bed and breakfast,
he was always putting down his wife, and at the time I thought, oh, this is pretty funny, and then I saw it recently. I went, holy shit!
I was gonna say I haven't seen it in years. You might be right, because now that you say that, he was kind of condescending in that show, wasn't he?
Really? And I went, okay, that's.
But it was all a dream. So
yeah, it's true. It was all a dream.
So Suzanne
but think
Plachette
about,
go ahead.
Think about Everybody Loves Raymond and how she put down her husband all the time.
That's
That's an acceptable trope, is that the woman is
that's very true.
Constantly picking on the man, and
they were a good equal. This was a good couple.
Though, you got to give it credit though that ending of
brilliant.
Newhart was brilliant. Yeah, that was good.
But they were riffing on the Dallas.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is it worked for Newhart.
Oh yeah,
right. Because it's like, how do you end this show that is so beloved? But like, now that
Larry,
I'm gonna have to check it out again. Now that you say that, because you're
so here's a bit of okay. We'll get to the other Newhart show, and I'll give you some trivia. Okay, next.
Okay, so keep that in mind. Bonanza.
So Bonanza was created by NBC RCA.
Holy shit! I didn't realize it ran that long.
Oh yeah, god, yeah, right into the 70s and the color era.
59 to 73.
It was the first color television show, and it was designed expressly to sell RCA color TVs.
That's right.
It ran so long, didn't they have to change some of the cast towards the end? And you got Doug McClure, and was it Doug McClure?
Well, one of the guys left because he hated working on the show.
Yeah.
Purnell Roberts ditched it. He said, "This is stupid."
When is this the one that Michael Landon was on, or am I thinking the other one?
Yeah, this one's
another great Canadian, Lauren Green.
Yeah, Lauren Green. Yeah. He was a newsreader for a long time.
Oh yeah, it says right there, Michael Landon, Little Joe.
His brother Ray.
Red Green. Now, Lauren Green. Lauren Green was completely bald, but he wore a toupee made of yak fur, which sounds like a Johnny Carson line.
It does.
It's gotta find one of those.
How thick was it? It was made out of
sounds
yak
like
hair.
a Karnak thing. He just puts the envelope to his head. Yak fur, and then
that's right. That's exactly right.
It took several yaks to make it, actually.
This was a huge show, and the show that killed it was
the Virginian.
No, was the Smothers Brothers.
Oh, the
Really?
Smothers Brothers were very popular.
The Smothers Brothers was a shocking success on CBS that killed that outdrew Bonanza, and actually CBS was not happy with its success, but we'll keep on going. Okay, so I can keep talking about all sorts of stuff.
Rowan and Martin's Laughing. Okay, kind of a predecessor to Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
My mom and I saw the show premiere, and I cannot recall laughing as hard, because at the time it moved like greased lightning. You watch it now, it's really slow, but the jokes were flying. It was also the first show which was edited on tape. And what I mean is it was at the very beginning of the tape era, where they were not telecineing television shows, and they used the ability to with videotape to edit it like clip, like you suck it to me, very interesting but stupid. There was no other show like that. And then the elevator sequences and stuff like that. And I just recall laughing so hard, and we couldn't stop. It just kept on going. So, anyways,
now did this predate Monty Python, or did Monty
Yes,
Python
it
come
did,
first? Okay, I was just
yes.
trying to figure out, because then you had Hee Haw after that.
Hee Haw was huge, but again, one of those
and very
middle
much in the same vein. But what you're talking about, just so people don't know, is yes, they actually used to shoot shows on film. What Telecine would be was basically the transfer to, watching.
No. They shot it on. They just shot it on television cameras, and then had a little bit of the television screen filmed on film.
Okay.
So the Lucy show was innovative because it was shot on film, and that's what allowed Desi Arnaz to actually rerun it in pristine condition. That's another.
That's right. Yes, yeah. So like basically what I was gonna say is, because you're right, because like what I was gonna get to then is the advent of videotape made it so much different than it was before. Where
and this was the first show to really use editing to the degree that it did, and to create the jokes that they did.
Which also answers the question a lot of people have, is why is some stuff come in HD from the past and some stuff not? Well, because by the time they got to video, a lot of stuff was being filmed or shot on video eventually, especially sitcoms. But back in the 60s, 70s, and so on, there's, like you said, because they did that in the 50s too for some shows, but they started shooting everything on film and then transferring it to videotape.
Yep.
And then eventually they just started using just straight videotape. So yeah.
Yep. So anyways, love these.
Anyway,
guys.
moving on. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So here's our first movie to television show.
Fuck yeah.
So, and I was just gonna say, it belongs here because it's one of those shows that's arguably much more famous than the movie ever was. So I give it that.
That is impressive, because I didn't know actually until this morning that it was actually based off a movie. I always thought this was just a big show that just stood on its own. And what really stood out, because I never actually watched this, but I want to start because I don't know if you saw Mahler's last video, but it's called Star Wars Cannot Grow Up. And he makes a really good argument about what's going on with Star Wars, and he compares one of the key episodes to a Futurama episode and a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode. And the way he talked about the story of that particular Buffy episode, it really intrigued me. I'm like, and I remember the show coming out when I was a kid, but I never really watched it because, once again, during the 90s, it was like, if it wasn't WWF Attitude Era or cartoons, I didn't care. But now I'm like, man, I really want to give this show a shot, because I've heard how good it is over the years. But yeah, seriously, watch the new Mahler video where he talks about Buffy. It's really good.
I never got into the show. Go ahead.
The movie and the show had two very different styles and feels. The
movie
was
Andy who was talking.
Very much a comedy.
Yeah, Andy.
I think that's why I didn't get into the TV show until it was over, till the last season had premiered, because the movie was such garbage.
I loved the movie.
Interest in it. Yeah,
I loved the movie.
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman's in it.
Show, but
I refused to watch the show because of the movie. Yeah,
I think there's a 3-episode arc where Buffy's, spoiler alert, Buffy's mom died. I don't know if I've ever cried harder watching TV.
That was powerful.
They did that so well.
There's 3 episodes to me that really, really stand out with that, and it's The Body, Hush, which was the there's like no very little dialogue through the whole thing, and the
I think didn't that episode win an Emmy?
Probably, yeah, because everything about it was like, because the demons come and like steal everybody's voices, and it's all like, acting like in. There's the really funny scene where, like, they're trying to communicate about the monsters and what to do with them. So Buffy, like, she just starts going, and like everybody looks at her, like, and she pulls out the stake and like,
yeah. So many dirty jokes in that episode.
That was when Whedon was at the top of his game. Back before like his dialogue became a thing and became overused and a trope. But back then it was great. It was believable. It felt real, and it felt new, and great series. It's really like the first series. Yeah, the first season. It's a shortened season. It's kind of, thrown together, but like everything after that gets really, really good.
Is the third episode you were going to mention the musical?
Yeah, because I think I don't think it had really been done like that by anything else. And what I thought was really cool about it was that the way it wasn't just a gimmick; they used it to move the plot along. And it was like there was really no other way to get that story out if it wasn't for something like that. And I thought it was really clever the way they incorporated it in.
All right. Anybody else got anything on Buffy?
I believe they're doing a spinoff of this, still upcoming, with Charisma Carpenter's character, and it's going to be a radio show, audio only.
Yeah, I just saw that headline.
I thought they were going to do a remake where they recast Buffy with an African American actress. Wasn't that something?
I'm sure they'll get around to it.
Yeah, give them time. Hey, that's only a matter of time.
Yeah, they continued the show in comic book form, and that was really well. That was really
yeah, even went up until even half a decade ago. I know they did another volume, either through Dark Horse or Boom Studios, and I did know people who were reading and invested. Yeah, it's spawned off a few runs to this day.
I got the first year of the comic book. I wasn't really. It didn't have the same feel to it. It was, I don't know.
Is Whedon still persona non grata?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, you won't see him back again.
Whatever he did was.
He'll still get a check, but yeah.
Was it Russell Brand level horrific?
No, it was.
He was mean and
Russell
he yelled.
Brand is innocent.
Although there is some. Let's put it this way: there's some loose accusations that allude to him being a bit of a creep and
I see
acting out of sorts, but nothing solid. No actual accusations. Like there was, the whole Kryborg thing. But again, if you look into it, it's really difficult to find anything other than Kryborg didn't want to do his job, and he thought he was bigger than he was. As far as the other parts go, the big persistent rumor was that he had a handler, or people were told that not to put themselves into positions to be alone with him, and there was an underage actress on the show, Buffy, that supposedly he was not allowed to be alone with. Was another thing that I'd heard.
Yeah,
so again,
sister.
nothing solid, but just kind of
Buffy's
like
little sister named Dawn.
yeah. Sorry, no, yeah, just kind of like smoke, but no real fire at all, and just kind of a smell of smoke, no actual seeing it. I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, the sister was Michelle Trachtenberg. I think Charisma Carpenter actually had an issue with him too. I don't remember what it was.
He was a dick because she got pregnant.
Jane.
He was like, "How am I going to write this in? Why don't you just abort it?" And that was
He said that?
bad. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he sounds like a creep.
Wow.
He is an asshole, and I'm sure that he took advantage because I'm probably pretty sure that there was a girl that he kind of owed a favor to, and she got her own series developed by Joss Whedon, probably because of a relationship that he wanted to keep quiet. So she got the dollhouse, and it was kind of flopped, but it was like, hey, Joss Whedon produced the thing, and he had a history of making successful TV.
Yeah, I remember that being a big deal when it came out, but
But I am sure that Hollywood is just filled with creeps.
Oh, absolutely.
More so than less. And to single one of the creeps out for being a creep and not coming out with everybody else is kind of hypocritical, but that's Hollywood.
Yeah, that's Hollywood. All right, let's keep moving along.
So you're saying Dollhouse was that the Elijah Dushku one?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all kinds of rumors about him and her.
What is it with her and supposedly? That's the thing.
Because
makes you start wondering if. Anyway.
Yeah, she went after the guy who played DiNozzo in that other series that he went on after NCIS. The one where he was a lawyer, or not a lawyer, but Bull.
Bull.
Yeah. She went after
You
him in
should
that
know,
show.
anyone on this panel who should know the name of that show, it's you.
Yeah, it should have been me. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually
Sorry,
like
I went
that
ahead
show,
here.
too.
We got Gunsmoke.
Okay. Yeah.
Another wrong running show. Holy shit. 55.
Wrong
years.
running. Wrong running.
Racist.
Right.
Get out of that shrimp, fat boy.
Even I'm not old enough to remember this one. Well, I remember it. I remember it from later, but I don't remember what
James
it was.
Arness as Matt Dillon. I remember the opening.
Yes.
I know James Arnez's brother better. He was the guy on Mission Impossible.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm. And I think James Arness was also famous for being the guy in the rubber suit of the very first The Thing.
The Thing.
Did he wear the rubber suit in Gunsmoke?
Only during the gay sex scenes.
Which there were a lot back then in Western television shows.
Yeah, they're like, bring out the
subtext was
that's where Tarantino got the line,
Right.
You know how hard it is to
again.
find a woman in in the West.
You had to just stick it in whatever hole you could find.
That's right. Yeah, they were fucking a lot of bulrushes.
Mm-hmm. At this point, I'm impervious to rattlesnakes.
That's right. Truth is stranger than friction.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we smoked Gunsmoke.
It belongs in the list.
Hey, here's a good one.
Yes,
Rockford Files.
Yep, fantastic show.
Mike Post with the
and also the guest of the week message.
Mm-hmm.
A new actor every single time, leaving him a message. Now, what's interesting about Rockford Files is that was just
what the hell was that?
Sorry, I better not play anymore, just in case.
The Rockford Files was essentially Maverick in modern times, and so it's exactly the same show.
Mm-hmm. The old Western that they made into a film.
Yeah,
which he was in with
Maverick.
Maverick.
This I
it was a good show.
recall watching every week without fail, and I had my cassette recorder and I recorded the theme music.
It's great theme. So I was just going to bring that up. 70s. It had one of the all-time great theme songs.
Yeah.
And I loved the little bit in the beginning of the show where it would always change because what he'd have his answer machine. It was usually like somebody trying to collect money or something like that. And it always changed to something else.
And it was always a celebrity.
That's
it was always some celebrity calling him up. It reminded when I was watching Dodgeball in theater, and the first thing they opened up with was a message machine recording. It reminded me of the Rockford Files. I was sitting there watching that, but I didn't notice it at the time. But later on, and watching this, my mom and my dad was like, it always upset me that they kept switching the car. So it was a different car each show, right? So it was even a different model and stuff. It's a different color of orange this time. I'm like,
well, speaking of cars that were kind of like part of the show, there was another show about a private dick that not exactly spun off of this in quotations, but sort of did. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
You're talking
about Magnum PI.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Paul was about to hop in there too with that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I step all over Paul? I'll shut up.
No, I'm surprised more people know it than I thought. Yeah. Because Tom Selleck was on 2, I think, episodes of the show, and they liked him so much on there that they kind of created this other kind of version of that character that became Magnum PI. And of course, for those of you know, the whole thing, at least in the beginning part of the show, I think it was kept stealing the car that he was of the place where he lived or whatever. That what was it? It wasn't a Corvette. It was a
Ferrari.
Was it a Lamborghini. It was a Ferrari or Lamborghini. I couldn't remember.
Ferrari.
Yeah. I trust you on that. You're the car guy.
Yeah. And thank goodness. Rockford File lived in a RV. My dad absolutely adored this show. He recorded every single one. It was a great show. Fantastic show. This is one of those shows that I like to show people how a procedural actually can work and not get boring. And one of the reasons why I think streaming doesn't quite get it, that they're trying to be large extended movies when they really do need to have more procedural stuff where, put in the long arc, but have a story that concludes every single episode, please.
Yeah, the episodic television show, that art has been lost. There's just so many series I've seen on Netflix and otherwise where it's like I think first of Jessica Jones on Netflix. You got a PI character. Why aren't you doing an episodic procedural with a sort of an overall arc that the end of each episode can connect to or whatever? It's a complete wasted opportunity. Instead, they try to say, I'm going to make this 8-hour long movie. Like, no, stop.
I was just making this exact point this week, Scribe. And I said, like, it's like they forgot how, and I use the term reset, and I shouldn't have. I should have found a better term. But like basically all these shows used to be, you could have all kinds of crazy shit happen in the duration of the show, but the show was always at least left off where it started from, in a sense of where anybody picks up afterwards, or whether you come in as a viewer, you're not going to be lost, because there's sometimes overarching stories between certain characters, but that's not the grand scheme of the show. At the end of the day, the show is still like South Park, right? That's part of their joke sometimes, is the entire town gets destroyed, but by the end of the show, somehow it all gets set back to the way it was before. That's kind of part of that joke, because that's the way TV always used to work. So it could be an ongoing episodic thing, and no matter where you came into the show, you weren't lost.
You couldn't record stuff, right? So if you had a show that had an overarching arc, it was going to be one of those specials like the Thornbirds or something like that, or in the North and the South, where they advertise like crazy. You have to be there for that. In a show like this, you went out and did stuff. And if you missed it, and then the next show, I would have to have seen the show I missed, then you just quit watching. Whereas with now, you can go back and watch those things.
It also takes talent to write a show and a story that is contained within a 30-minute or 45-minute span.
Well, as Paul said, it's procedural, right?
Yeah. The binge model has ruined the episodic television form. It just absolutely ruined it. And I hate these 6-hour-long movies. I really do.
And this is why shows like CSI and all that kind of stuff continue to be popular, Criminal Intent, or insert your procedural quotation show here. And that's because of that reason, because people can still watch them at any given time and not have to be bogged down with who's doing this or that.
I'm satisfied at the end of the hour. I'm satisfied with the story. I've had a complete story told me. I know what the ending is. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to guess what the heck Filoni's meeting and what his meaning is for this, that, and the other thing. I don't have to be like J.J. Abrams
or how it ties into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I got to go back and read 14 comic books that are crap before I understand what happened to Star Trek. Right? Yes. I can watch the show in the beginning. I'm good.
You mean
that's
shows like... Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
All right. These are all fantastic points we're mentioning. We got to mention even with the shows that we do like, and this happens, well, I don't want to say all of them, but let's just say most of them, because I feel like this is not for dispute, but we'll say a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I totally binged the show, and they enjoyed it. But if you ask them what happened distinctively each episode, they have trouble remembering because they binged through it all. It became a little bit of a blur. Like, I remember when Stranger Things is new, like, yeah, I really enjoyed that first season, but it definitely took a rewatch or two for me to really differentiate the episodes, because when you blur through it all, it's a blur. And I remember having that week or sometimes, extended times where you had the next season of wait several months. You had every episode, every season sink in and digest and get to know him, get to capture all the the little dialogues you may have missed the first time. And also it was always urgent. You had to catch it, because if you didn't, boy, you were shit out of luck. And sometimes you'd have to figure out when the next rerun was gonna be, and that could always be a pain. And that's also that was a big one. And then you had to have your food in the microwave ready for when the commercial is done, or the bathroom.
Nothing sucked worse as a kid when before the time of VCR and you heard last time on Transformers, because you're like, what? I missed an episode. There was a 2-part episode. No.
Oh, dude,
or something like that.
Good luck seeing it. Yeah.
That's why there were cliffhangers right at the end of the season.
Let's move on, guys.
Yeah, because we also have another guest joining us, Mr. WDW Pro, filling out the panel tonight. How are you doing, sir?
How many people can be on this thing at one time?
Well, I think we have almost the limit now. I think we're going to wait.
Tom
I think 10's the limit.
Tom just accused you of filling out.
Ooh.
WD. That's fighting words.
I don't know if that's sexy or a comment on my girth. I'm not sure which. Maybe
Ladies
both.
and gentlemen, the Lizzo of Midnight's Edge.
Those are fighting words, Paul. And
so just so you're up to speed here. So just so you're up to here, speed here, Pro. What we're going through is basically the top shows of the 20th century. It goes up to 2002, but that's as far as it goes. So we're at number 39, top 50 shows, Rockford Files, and then we're about to move into the next one. So just so you're up to speed.
Once we go to the next ones, I'll know if this is well placed or not.
Actually, it'd be really funny to do our dad's top shows. Mannix, Barnaby Jones.
Mannix, Barnaby Jones.
Rockford Files. That's it. Done.
Yeah. Who made the All in the Family?
Yeah.
My dad loved All in the Family. That was like his favorite. That's his favorite show. I say it like the past tense, but no, like yeah.
This was a brilliant show.
This was TV Guide's list. WDW.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I own all of these shows.
Larry Sanders
on DVD.
is a great show.
Yeah, I own them all.
This is the underrated one. Everyone knows Seinfeld, but a lot of people don't know this one.
This show was great.
I think it's very underrated. It's huge.
Rip Torn was phenomenal in this.
Incredibly
Rip Torn.
Oh man,
it's
cutting.
It's very cutting. It's brilliant.
You know, and it's sad that we lost Gary Shandling how many years ago?
I know.
Now, and it was just was such a funny.
Which was the legit actor he had the fake on-screen feud with? Who was it? It was
it Leno?
No. It was like a legit...
It's the one that Jimmy Kimmel stole that bit with Matt Damon.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember now because that was a whole thing through a through line of the show.
God, how do I not remember this?
I mean, it was a big actor, like
I know. God,
Tom Selleck. I mean, a Tom Cruise level.
It's not
guy.
Tom Hanks, was it? No.
Anyways,
I can't remember now.
David Spade?
No.
No, it's been like 10, 15 years since I've seen this show.
I can't remember. God damn it. Anyway, this was such a groundbreaking show, and this is one of the few shows within a show that worked, because part of the problem with shows within a show is that you've got two shows that you got to make funny. One, the show itself, the behind the scenes show, and the show within the show you got to make funny. And that's what was brilliant about it, is that for the most part, the show that he was doing on camera was a good
show.
That's
was
why
David Duchovny?
Somebody in the chat said that.
That two or three.
There's been a few people guessed. Jim Carrey.
I keep saying Jim
Jeffrey
Carrey, but
Tambor.
No, Jeffrey Tambor plays the other character.
No, I think it might have been Duchovny.
I think it was Duchovny because it's not Jim Carrey. I don't.
No. It was
pretty sure it was Duchovny.
And it was nasty.
Now that you say that, yeah,
wonderfully nasty. Yeah, okay.
No, this is a great fucking show.
This was a great show.
Anybody else got anything to say before we go to the next one?
I got no.
Speaking of David Duchovny.
Here we go.
Oh yeah. Oh dude. This show, dude. Love this show. Even the weird odd episodes where they have like the random humorous episodes. I remember there's that one where everyone was kind of having a hysteria about roaches, and all of a sudden I was just like, this is so silly, but it's so funny. And then there's some episodes that were oddly prophetic. And then you also had the great characters and relationships of Mulder, Scully, Smoking Man, the bald boss. I always forget his name, but the bald boss.
Skinner.
Skinner, thank you. Such a fantastic show. Like, and the movie too. This is when shows could get movies as well. What a time.
And it set a template which is still going on till this day for shows like this, with one episode Monster of the Week, next episode story arc, Monster of the Week story arc. Fringe and many other shows have
actually that. Witcher was written like this, the books, and they could have just been this. Please, Monster of the Week.
It was also cool that they always kept it a mystery. I mean, did the things actually? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just wondering, was this one of the first like male-female partnerships where both were effectively on equal footing with one another? Did you see things like Bones and Criminal Intent?
No, there was a lot of that in the 80s. There was a lot of shows like that in the 80s. No, this actually what's funny about the X-Files is, for the most part, it feels like when the time it came out, it was like an amalgamization of a bunch of other stuff that they already tried that didn't quite work, but just this time it clicked. And the advertising for this show, I remember being aggressive as hell. And they debuted it on Friday night, which was, as Paul will tell you, a graveyard.
Oh, graveyard.
Yeah.
Like TGIF had the corner on Friday night. Why? Because the only people who were at home were people with like kids, right? Like, That's why Friday night was the only thing people watched.
And Chris Carter created this because of Night Stalker.
Yeah.
So Night Stalker was his influence for this show.
But you had stuff like Friday the 13th and stuff like that came before it that were pretty much the exact same show.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not really. But anyways, I won't argue.
Pretty close.
It kind of surprised me that it took him as long as he did to get Darren McGavin on as a guest star in one episode to basically play a kind of Night Stalker-esque character. But I think it was like deep into the seasons when that finally happened. I was kind of surprised.
And for those who don't know, I'm talking about Friday the 13th, the series. I'm not talking about Jason.
No.
I'm talking about the TV show where it was based on the cursed objects in the antique store, and each one they
that was a good show.
That's what I mean. It's the same kind of dynamic. Yeah.
Right. Shooter McGavin on, that would have impressed me.
Shooter McGavin. Shooter
McGavin.
Well, I mean, once you get to the 90s, there's not really a whole lot of things that haven't already been done, right? That the melodramatic show, there's multiple tropes and characters and things, stuff like that. It's just a different way of telling the same exact story.
And this is a perfect example of a show that really ran out of gas.
It did. They tried. I mean, they said it went to 2018. The recent shows that they've done
not
with them,
technically true.
That's from the revival show.
The revival shows I thought were very good. The movies were okay, but the early shows, I mean, okay. And you know what? Tron Legacy 2010. Okay. Didn't like it. I go back and look at it now. It is so far and above anything that we're getting.
Oh, sure.
Right? So these X-Files movies are now 7 out of 10 for me.
Well, and here's the weird thing.
Now.
And I don't know what people are bringing up 21 Jump Street for, but I will say this. One thing I remember this show being a big deal for was at the time, Fox had a few hits with a few other sitcoms and stuff like that. But outside of 21 Jump Street, this would have been their first big drama hit from my memory.
Yeah, it was huge.
That's what I mean.
Really
in 93, Fox was still kind of an infant as far as the networks go. Like they had basically just coasted on, Married with Children, Simpsons, and Living Color, and that's about it at this point.
Well, I was still doing conventions.
And Cops was their other big thing.
Cops was huge, but they were a non-serious network, and then this came along and it kind of rocketed them up above that. But I was doing conventions at the time, and this came in like a bat out of hell into those conventions and took over a lot of the stuff. So the people that were into Star Trek, that were into Star Wars and everything that was going on in the heydays of conventions in the 80s and 90s, just X-Files took it over for a while from there. It was a phenomenon and one of my all-time favorite shows.
I think it's also it's an example of the idea that you can have such a great concept that even if it's diminished over time, people will continually try to recapture the magic that you had in that first season over and over.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, after David Duchovny left, because whatever the heck going on with that, they tried to replace him.
With Robert Patrick?
Right. How many shows kept going? They just kept going with this. So people were still watching. They were still hungry for things like this. And there were spin-off shows that they were trying to get. I mean, Supernatural. Does that show deserve, 18 seasons? No. People were hanging on to that stuff because you look at what Gary's doing on Sunday nights with his show that talks about the same things the X-Files were. They're talking about the unknown, the mysteries. People love mysteries, and they love to try and have some kind of closure around those mysteries.
So this is one of my wife's least favorite shows, not because she doesn't like the show, but she used to live in Vancouver, and they would film it in the alleyway behind her apartment.
Gotcha.
So they used to close the road off, and she couldn't get into her apartment. So she got really pissed off with them.
Yep.
Yeah, if you look at all the locations in it, you can see lots of them in Vancouver and the cities around Vancouver. There's quite a lot of
There was one where the sheep kept dying, and
That's right.
Brian's actually in that episode. So.
I just what we really needed was Mulder and Scully going to Cabot Cove. That would
Yes.
Yes.
see, and anyone who guessed is that reference.
Yeah, and they go. It's like, this town has one of the highest murders per capita in the
That's right.
entire world. What's going on here? It's
Every
all
time
centered around this one woman.
every
going
time
on?
she shows up, someone dies.
And
That's
nobody
right.
blames her. No one ever sits there and thinks, maybe it's her.
Serial murderer. She was the
Who
worst
thinks?
murderer
I
in
know.
history.
Jessica.
Let's
It was
keep
always
going.
her.
Yes.
We've lost Tom.
X-Files.
No, I was just reading. We got some breaking news here. I wasn't sure because Six
Yeah.
sent me the story before. According to Jonas J. Campbell, the strike is over now. Probe will be forced to hire 36 interns and need to staff the writer's room for that Park Place channel.
That's right.
It's really over?
Writer's strike. Just the writer's strike is over.
I don't know if it is or not. I think so. I think that's
It's a tentative deal, is what I saw.
Ratification still on hold.
Yeah, I got the story Six sent me here just a little bit ago.
Yeah, my understanding is that it's a 3-year pause, and then they're going to start again in 3
Well, it's the same as like the last one.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
No details yet, unless somebody's got it from a different source. Deadline does not have any details yet.
I got
in terms
Hollywood
of what was
Reporter
agreed upon.
here. But yeah,
They're finalizing the language.
That's because they have,
this will be tomorrow's topic, I'm betting.
they can't write the article because the strike isn't over yet, so there's no writers to write it yet.
Now, and maybe somebody on the panel knows the answer to this, but now this thing has to go to ratification. So, does anyone know what level of majority is
Did
needed
Scripps say anything
in the vote
on
for
this?
ratification?
I have no
Well,
idea.
No idea.
What's
Oh,
funny
wait,
is Script and
let's
I
do a
just
poll.
recorded.
Who
Script and I just
cares?
recorded tomorrow morning's video for my channel, and we're gonna do like the South Park thing. So now I know.
And you
which
probably
way
know
it
more
went,
than we do,
so-
bro. So yeah.
Well, they are ratifying the language. Unfortunately, it's Latvian, so no one's going to understand the contract.
It's okay. It's all the
That's-
same as
That's good,
legalese.
Paul. That was funny.
Thank you.
Latvian. That
It's,
was
it's being
someone
finalized by AI.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You should put a poll up. Does anybody really care that the writer's strike's over?
The writers were on strike.
I don't. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to get excited when SAG is still sagging.
I mean, they're still going to push Dune to next year. I mean, they're not going to change that. I mean, there's nothing to watch to the end of the year.
I hope it ends now only insofar as I think you've got more and more studios understanding that this woke shit just doesn't fly. And
I
that
think that's the message they learned, though.
I think more
Happy for
have.
Script.
I think they more have. So we'll see.
We'll see, because as you go through the list of these top shows, I have a feeling that the ones that you love, i.e., all of them, none of them are woke. None of them were precursors to woke.
Well, let's hope so.
I don't know. X-Files had a strong female redheaded character, and they haven't done anything to. Oh wait.
Oh wait, she was redheaded. That cancels.
So she's been
everything.
erased.
But she was also a lesbian in real life, but they didn't have her become a lesbian in the show.
She was? I thought she was married to the producer or something.
I'm pretty sure Gillian Anderson is lesbian. May have happened later, but
Depends which day of the week it is, bro.
And
Yeah.
she played the Iron Lady in the Queen, in the Crown. Yeah,
right.
that was a powerful performance.
And Margaret Thatcher. Yeah, she
Yes.
played Margaret Thatcher.
Oh,
extremely well.
She did. It was a powerful performance. She did a very good job. Watching the two of them act against each other with that, I thought was very, very well done.
Yeah, my favorite scene in X-Files is when Duchovny has got the parabolic glass chamber around his hand, just so the hand model.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So that's
my favorite.
Insured.
It's insured. It's my favorite X-File scene.
Zoolander was so funny.
All right, let's keep moving along here. We got
You broke it. You
Fugitive, the original
Oh.
1963 show from.
Yeah, this is great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Parents like this.
Oh yeah.
I've never really seen the show, but I do love the movie with Harrison Ford, of course. But
yeah, movie's a classic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
boy,
this was-
Bill
this
Bixby
was
was
good.
great in this. Oh wait,
David Jansen was good.
that was the whole.
And Barry Morris,
sorry.
I know the joke. I get it.
Oh, Barry Morse.
a Canadian actor.
Space
was-
1999, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Or was that a different guy?
Nope, same guy, Canadian actor. Yeah.
Who played the bad guy? Gage, somebody?
I can't remember, but they finally found him at the end.
Paul, you'll remember Harry O. That was a David Jensen.
Yes.
Jensen.
Oh yeah. They found him at the end. The guy. Yes, I know what you're.
It was one of the
about.
highest rated television shows of all time. Was the finale to The Fugitive.
Yeah. And based on a true crime too, or at least inspired by.
Yep.
And led to the next series, Get Smart.
Well, what happened is that David Jansen found the guy, pulled his rubber mask off, and it was Mr. Edwards, the guy who ran the mortuary.
And he would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for that one-armed guy and that dog.
That's right.
Stupid kids. God, it
wasn't me.
I can go to Colorado to get Scooby snacks. That's all I know.
I don't care.
And I think a lot of this show is in black and white. It was a great show.
Very well written.
Roseanne.
It was
controversial show,
groundbreaking show.
It was. I think where this came out in the mid '80s, right? Late '80s.
We loved this show when it first came on.
It was different in a lot of ways than anything we had seen previously on television because it actually showed
people without means.
Not just that, but what real people were like, right? Because that's the thing is the biggest question on most of these TV shows was like, how the hell do these people afford to live in a place like that when their dad works, at a fucking shoe store, or some shit like that? Like, I mean, granted, Married with Children was kind of the closest.
She works in a coffee shop. I lived in New York City at the time. I knew how much that Central Park apartment was, and she wasn't working. If she was paying for that, she was doing things outside of the coffee shop with clients to get that kind of money.
You've just discovered the real message of Friends.
Yes.
This was
no one told
1988.
me life was gonna be this way.
We called Tricks.
Well, this reminded me of
with benefits.
Good Times.
Well, they were on a break.
This show reminded me of Good Times.
Paul, what were you saying?
I said this was started in 1988 and ended in 1997.
Yes.
The original run, yeah.
Original run. It's the actors in this were fantastic. It was really
I like when the Becky changed.
And
then they morphed her at the end of the credits. That I was like, okay, that's funny.
Replaced her with Dick Sargent.
Dick Sargent. Dick Sargent. Yes, it was hilarious.
Yeah, that was odd. No,
Paul still got it, folks. Paul still got it.
I mean, this show to me was kind of like
good.
To what All in the Family was to the 70s was what this show was to the 90s. Probably,
I'd say so. Yeah,
Good Times.
Unlike All in the Family,
and,
not based on a British show.
This is true.
That's true. Well, there's no one like Roseanne in Britain.
Yes, an original American property.
Well, and people always, and it's kind of sad now the way the show
just
turned
like freedom,
out,
Brian. Just
like people always overlooked how important John Goodman was on that show because especially at this time going into the bad dad trope or the dumb dad trope.
Yes. He was not a bad dad. He was a good
outside of the
dad.
one thing
And
that
a
they kind of
loving
retconned was when, except for when he cheated on Roseanne, they retconned that in the end. But point being, it was just, he was a good dad who was constantly trying, even though he's struggling. And the way they portrayed a blue collar family was accurate and didn't make fun of them like the Beverly Hillbillies in a sense. You know,
it wasn't condescending.
It wasn't condescending. Yeah.
I always thought Granny was the smartest person on the planet. We just,
she was.
Well, she was she was making meth all the time in the back.
She had the
like I said, I always thought she was the smartest person on the planet.
No, she was actually making moonshine. But nowadays, if they did the Beverly Hillbillies, it'd be meth.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would eviscerate them if it were today. It would not be good-hearted.
No. Anything else to say on this?
Let's keep going.
Right.
Great show.
Oh, Frasier, a show that's on its way back.
Too low. Should be higher.
Uh-oh. We're at that point of the list. The too high, too low. There we go.
As a former radio engineer like Tom, this was a great show.
Very good show, and one of the easiest shows to do a spec script for because it was what we call a mechanical sitcom. Right. All you needed to do was get a French wine list and then get the two guys arguing with each other.
Yeah.
Get Kramer and
I got to see David Hyde Pierce live on Broadway in Spamalot.
Wow.
And he was phenomenal. And so was Hank Azaria. was on there. The only person that wasn't on there was
Homer
Tim Curry.
Simpson,
Oh, that's
aka
yeah.
Earthworm Jim. Nice.
Yeah.
Where does it rank among spin-offs, though? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Pretty
this is one of the
high
great
up there.
spin-offs.
I would say it's pretty high up there on spin-off list.
Well, this was a spin-off of Cheers, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you had other
and it really
shows that came
became
off
its
those.
own, right? That's
Right.
the thing, is it rose above the spin-off status. That's the thing. It's
Yes.
like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, kind of like Family Matters did off of Perfect Strangers, and you know, All in the Family had a billion spin-offs that in a lot of ways became their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think you already mentioned Good Times.
This is a
earlier, but,
brilliant show because
Good
it
Times.
was one of the first and only shows that had two lead characters who were basically exactly the same. And that was a really amazing piece of genius to do that.
Did the show grow into that though? Was that the initial plan,
No,
or did
that
Niles
was the
just
initial
become more
plan.
of a-
Nope,
No, okay.
nope, nope. They were both competitive within the context of being straight poofters, although Niles actually was, and of course you had the father who was the ex-police guy who was absolutely disappointed in his two flaky sons that loved art gallery and had no idea where all this came from. Of course, it came from his wife. I won't go through this, but I mean, it was. I mean, the show was a genius.
I think the show doesn't work unless the wife is dead.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
because there were so many things that do that, and then one of them would bring up mom, and it would all end right from there. And that was the common thread, because the dad and the two brothers totally different.
Yeah,
and the common thread was the memory and love they had for mom.
Mom, correct.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was like a Disney princess story where mom always died.
And you had
Andy
had to have the
died.
maternal figures of Daphne and Roz there to sort of like balance
Right.
the varying amounts of testosterone in the room at any particular point.
Yeah, they were very strong characters.
Or lack
especially Roz.
thereof.
I like.
Well,
Roz.
yeah, I say varying amounts. Yeah.
Yeah. But I just wonder how many more times that Paul's going to say poofta.
I like that.
Until the British government sends us a letter wanting to cancel him.
Correct.
Okay, here's an oddball one. Playhouse
Ooh.
90. I wouldn't call this one that necessarily lived on past its expiration date.
So this was a
No.
hugely important show at the beginnings of TV, because what it basically did was take Broadway
Oh, I
plays
see. Yeah.
and so this was the era when television showed operas, classical music, classical singers.
A more
So
refined time.
So you have to understand that art, each new change in what do you call it, technology, the first thing it does is imitate what came before it. So if I take photography as an example, the first era of photography, partly because it took forever to expose this piece of glass, all the pictures were set up to look like the oil paintings, because that was the only thing they knew. So art imitates art. That's how art works. And so the first photographs looked like paintings. The first time when television, came on board, the first thing it did was reproduce live plays. But they had the best actors, and there was just some unbelievable stuff. Paul Newman did about 3 different Playhouse 90s, and it's staggering, amazing acting. And this is the intellectual era of television. That
was it Playhouse 90 where Lloyd Bridges it said "God damn it" on air?
I can't remember, but it was live.
Okay. It was live. Yeah, it was a live
so,
show.
Yeah, so this would be the predecessor to doing gotcha. So I'm glad that you're here to tell us this. See, I had never heard of this before. And
this was a very important show. I don't know how popular it was, but again, this was television's first attempt to. It didn't know what a sitcom was yet. I mean, there were sitcoms on the radio. Lucy was,
right.
Anyway, I don't want to get into that. But this was just some powerful TV that you just don't see anymore.
It's an important bridge from the radio
How
drama
many
to
of
the television
yes.
drama.
How many of these still exist, Paul?
That's what I wonder, if
were
any.
they recorded at the time, or were they all live?
Well,
and
they were
gone?
they were filmed off of
the telescreen thing,
the
yeah,
telescreen.
camera on the screen, yeah.
Yeah, there's some
Yeah,
that
I don't know
still
if you can see
exist.
those.
There's still I wonder. There's got to be some.
eBay Playhouse 90. Apparently, you can buy them on DVD.
So there must be quite a
somebody
few of them
must
around.
have-
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
maybe
Good that
individual
they-
ones.
I mean, you
Good
had
that they
Marlon
survived.
Brando. I mean,
They have episodes on YouTube.
Cool.
There you go.
Okay.
An American
that's-
Family from PBS,
Full
1973.
Don't know this at all.
I don't know this at all either.
Yeah,
So
never heard
I
of it.
don't know this. No.
America's openly gay son. Okay, yeah.
Oh, that's
okay.
why it's on the list.
A
That's why it's on
documentary.
the list.
And Soap
Oh.
will be on here.
Okay.
Oh, I love Soap.
The Defenders.
Yes, I
61 to
remember.
65.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's E.G. Marshall. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
My parents talked about this one.
Oh, and a young Robert Reed.
Yeah,
Look at
yeah.
him there.
Yeah, that's what
Wow.
I say.
Yep. I watched this
Oh.
with my folks. I'm old enough.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
This dealt
one I
with
have to
some
check
very
into.
difficult topics at the time. There was a
That
lot going on in this time of the 60s.
I was very young.
It said decades before Law and Order, it covered abortion, civil
So
rights,
same
mercy
thing?
killing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My dad graduated and was in the military while this show was on the air. And got married.
I was
Wow.
7 years old.
He was older than that.
That's what I'm going to have to put on my list.
But I remember the show. I
Cool.
remember the show.
Wait a minute, though. Wait a minute. Was the show actually, does the show deserve to be on the list? Or is it on the list because it featured those things that are
Topics.
in its description?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you mean
Does
the
it
Defenders?
deserve
Well,
WDW?
okay,
Yeah.
okay. To be fair, I don't know if you heard me in the beginning there, Pro, because it kind of got probably buried under everything else. This list was done in 2002. So I highly doubt it has any of the modern day bullshit involved.
The Defenders was of show not of its era. You had like horrible shows like Broderick Crawford, Highway Patrol, and which you guys don't remember.
Emergency.
But, no, Emergency was much later. So the Defenders, you're right, was the precursor to Law and Order.
Well, that's what it said right on the thing, too.
Law and Order SUV. That's a great show.
It all happens
Law
from
and
a
Order
car.
SUV.
Yeah.
Now, here's
Law and
one from
Order
early
geriatric unit.
television that I'm
Oh,
not
I know
familiar
all about this show.
Okay, so go right ahead then, sir. Your show of shows.
So your show of shows was one of the first variety shows. This came out of the Catskills. So the Catskills, which was where modern stand-up comedy evolved. Again, very Jewish productions. Woody Allen, Sid Caesar, Imogene Coca, Larry Gelbart, all the most famous original writers of comedy. The guy who Carl Reiner, all these people came out of the Catskills, and this was a show that they kind of did in the Catskills, and then they just transferred this over to TV. And of course, Sid Caesar was never wrote. He didn't write, but he was an
It
absolute.
says here the writers were like Neil Simon, Mel Brooks, and Woody
Yes,
Allen. Yep,
like all losers.
completely.
Again, it's one of those shows that was a crucible. It was like people writing now would die under the flame of having to do this show live.
Right.
That's why so many good writers came out of this show. So it's really neat. Again, the modern stand-up. You have to understand that vaudeville, the stand-ups at the time were doing racist jokes, anti-Italian, anti-Jewish, anti-black jokes. Even one of the best stand-ups in vaudeville, which was a black guy who had to do his act in blackface, or he would have been run off the stage.
Seems a bit redundant.
Yeah, so he wasn't black enough, eh?
Wasn't black enough.
Wasn't black enough.
And he never got the credit for the work that he did. But then one day, Jewish comedians brought their family stories to vaudeville, which no one thought would work, but then worked extremely well. That was the beginning of modern stand-up.
Well,
And it lasted all the way until the teleprompter.
We're not quite halfway through the list yet. So
Anyway, sorry.
Oh, wait. Imogene Coca, for those of you out there, was in Vacation.
Yes.
She's the one who died. They tied to the top of the truckster.
Yeah. Kept calling him
Loved
Claude
Imogene
and
Coca.
everything else, and everything but Clark. Yeah.
Look, Donahue.
Yeah, he was.
And we got Donahue.
Inventive left-wing host.
Yeah.
What I find funny is they got a quote from Maury Povich about Donahue.
Oh.
Yeah, this
should be much higher.
This is this.
This is before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this list was done before. So this list is already 20 years old.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, I'm sorry. I got to split.
No problem. You do. And that's fine. So tell everybody what's going on out there.
Yeah, real quick. I got a show on my channel, Scribe Light, every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, called TED Excellence, or I take a look at an off-brand TED Talk to see what I can learn about what's going on the fringe of education and business and society and everything else. So that's my main driver. I have other shows going on there too, but I'll just take the time to plug that one.
All righty. Well, thank you for being here, my friend.
Nice to meet you all. Have a good evening, everybody.
Take care.
Sir.
That's great.
All right. So
I probably talk too much. Sorry.
No. He just has another show he has to run to. But the Cosby Show, yeah, all bullshit aside, this is what I remind people when they're talking about how racist we used to be. Is like, how can that be when Bill Cosby was the highest paid actor on television from the 80s through the 90s, up through the early 90s?
Defined the 80s.
Yeah, between that, Michael Jordan, the popularity
Eddie
of rap
Murphy,
music,
Michael
Jackson,
one of the most notable guitar players like Chuck Berry and Jimi Hendrix. Yeah, I think it's safe to say we were at a point where we were starting to become past that crap. But then everything else happened.
Sidney Poitier.
Richard.
You're taking away many glass ceilings that people have pretended to break.
And not only that, the whole point of this show, at its core, is basically to show a black family that didn't live in the ghetto. You have two parents who are doctors, established doctors, and they've got 5 kids, and it's really kind of reflective of what Bill Cosby's life was supposed to be like at that time. And it's loosely based on a lot of his stand-up at the time.
Yeah. And Bill would steal roofies from the hospital.
Was it a show there? Was this show was it a sleeper hit? This show?
No.
No more.
Well,
I hear he's working at Mattress
We held
Firm
it
now.
for not even 2 minutes. 2 minutes. No.
But it showed, leaving that
That's longer
aside,
than
it
me,
showed very positive messages. It was a show full of very positive messages and very uplifting.
And all kidding aside on the sleeper joke, it was a hit right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I remember.
Well, I watched Bill Cosby on Saturday mornings.
Well, yeah, from
At
the
He
Albert.
was like, he was
At
an
Albert.
hour of my life. Yeah. And
No, but that's
there was
right, I
a movie that I watched in grade school that was Bill Cosby sitting in a chair with a shirt off, and he had this makeup on that you couldn't really tell what race he was supposed to be. And he was sitting there going, well, my life would be great if we just took all the Germans and put them on an island. And he just ran through everything. And everybody was there. And he says, well, I'm the only one left. That's where my first memory of Bill Cosby was that in grade school. So he was a huge figure in entertainment and the zeitgeist of America from the 70s and 80s on. So it just in the 60s. I Spy.
I Spy. So I saw
I
Bill
Spy.
Cosby on I Spy with Robert Culp.
Oh, what a great,
show. And the affiliate networks in the South wouldn't play I Spy.
They wouldn't. The chicken heart that ate New York City. I mean, we had all his albums. Hey, come on in here. I want you to see my kid that's at the couch on fire and spread jello all over the floor. Yeah. His comedy albums were played in my house.
Oh, yeah.
We wore them. I wore them out
Brilliant.
from there. He was a brilliant comedian. It is very sad what has ended up happening.
To Russell, my brother, to whom I slept with.
Yeah, Russell, my brother, too.
If he had not behaved poorly, this show would be up there with Andy Griffith and other sort of Americana establishing, defining
100%
sitcoms. Period.
So let's keep going.
Yep. Sesame Street.
Sesame Street should be top 10.
I agree. I think this is a little low on the list, but then again, at the same time, how many good years does Sesame Street have as opposed to bad years?
All those when Jim Henson was involved.
Mm-hmm. Well, here recently, yeah. But I mean, if you're talking about this
pretty much
show coming out in
69 through
2022,
89. Pretty much 69 through 89 is where the show really hit
And
its
Kevin
stride.
Clash took over with the Elmo thing, and it was too much. And then it got into
Responsible
social stuff.
for one of the most notable toys ever, Tickle Me Elmo. Also, their character Cookie Monster was also responsible for one of the coolest subgenres of metal called death metal. Thank you, Cookie Monster. And then you had great characters like Oscar, and then oh man, there's
I'm in a trash can, bitch. Of course
I'm
I'm
related
a
to Oscar. I seriously believe that Cookie Monster is the greatest fictional character that's ever been created.
Dude,
I
Cookie
fell in love with
Monster's
it.
Cookie.
Dude,
My daughter, she was when she was pregnant with my granddaughter. She says, we're gonna do her room like classic Pooh. I said, okay, that's what we'll do. You'll do classic Winnie the Pooh. And I sent her nothing but Cookie Monster stuff. And to this day, she still sleeps with the Cookie Monster dolls. And my daughter still doesn't forgive me. And I'm like, I don't care.
Do they have
She's
googly
getting
eyes?
Cookie Monster. Yes, they all have googly eyes.
I love the Count.
Oh, the Count one. Oh, what classic, wonderful
Good night,
television.
Bert. Good night, Ernie.
Man.
Good night, Bert.
Oh, man. Mr. Green Jeans back before.
You make me want to get on my Cookie Monster pajamas now. I have to now.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, just make sure you have your rubber ducky when you do.
Rubber ducky, you're the one.
I thought this would be higher.
What the hell is this sci-fi shit? No.
Yeah, what the hell is that crap? Local cable, bro.
You don't remember sci-fi back in the 50s?
Yeah, I know, but why does it say that? It should say, was it was like ABC or CBS? I can't remember which.
I don't know.
Tom, the only reason that's there is because
CBS.
They bought the
you were in the
rights.
Twilight Zone.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But
I
talk
call out
about
the puns.
landmark. This should be much higher, I think. But then again, I think we're going to be saying this for like the next 25 shows.
CBS.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. Okay, I was going to say CBS because I think Paramount released the Blu-rays.
We'll get in the top 10, and Star Trek will be there, and some other stuff. We'll go,
Something
oh,
on the wing.
yeah,
Something on the wing. Something on the wing.
Okay, next.
Are we really not going to talk anymore about Twilight? I think
I don't
Paul
know.
wants to go to bed.
It's an amazing show. I mean, I have the visions of.
It was an even better slot machine game.
Wow. I can't believe this ain't higher.
What?
Like when you talk about television, this is one of the first shows that comes to mind.
Wasn't the last show of MASH still the highest rated?
One of the
television
highest.
show of all
Yeah,
time?
100 million viewers says it right here. 100 million.
Until Disney Plus released
viewers.
Elemental, which had 4 times as many viewers according to Disney.
Somebody kicked that guy from the stream.
The birth of Ricky Jr. on the Lucy
show, that was big.
That was the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
How many did that have? I don't remember.
Oh, a ton. I can't.
I mean, how much is
Half of
Lucy
Elementals.
responsible for? It's Star Trek.
Star Trek, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
She spawned Carol Burnett and all the stuff that came from there. Oh, man, it's just I'm sorry.
MASH. Most of the shows were directed by Burt Metcalf, a Canadian from Saskatoon, and I actually got him to come back to Canada to teach us how to direct sitcoms.
Nice,
really sweet guy. He took me to the directors' private, like the Directors Guild theater, and I saw a rough cut of a Steven Spielberg movie, and then he came out and asked everybody what we think and how he could make it better.
What movie was that?
I can't recall, honestly.
Wow.
But it was pretty neat. It was nice, going around Hollywood with Burt Metcalf. He was a sweetheart.
Mm-hmm. Tripping Orc, I think you're right. This is one time where we've been talking about this should definitely be in the top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those shows that, like I said, television doesn't exist without it.
It seems low.
It seems very low. And while we got a second here, Amelia Clark Scroll Piss says that's a hell of a name. Paul banging it out on the wine list.
Tom Culture just called me and said he's going to start it at 10:05, so we need to hurry up.
Okay. Kiss my ass.
You're still going to get to the top 5 and read about Gomer Pyle up there in the top 5.
Like 10:05 tomorrow morning.
He called me a lying bastard.
Yeah. Action Com says another reason X-Files was a hit was because the year 2000 was coming. This is true.
Mm-hmm.
Something called Millennial Madness was gripping the nation. Future fear. Yep.
There was a show called Millennium.
That's true.
Yep.
That was around then. It had Hendrickson. Yes. Hendrickson, the guy that was the android and aliens. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, now that we're 23 years into this century, I see the reason for it.
Like Hendrickson.
Mm-hmm.
Amelia Clark, Scroll Piss says, no message, just enjoyment from England. We're glad to hear it.
Hello, top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning. Yeah, it's like morning over there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, Law and Order. Yeah. Obviously, I can see why this is on the list.
We were addicted to this thing. Boom, boom, boom.
Not much to really say other than clearly just
fantastic.
What a great show.
Yeah. Does this deserve to be on the list? Nightline, like news?
I don't really call this a traditional show. This to me is like.
I'm Ted Koppel.
Nightline all started
like a news type of show, situation. Kind of. I don't know.
Is Cronkite showing up later on the list?
Don't know. This was a revolutionary show, and it was the right show at the right time during the Iran hostage thing.
Yeah.
And Ted Koppel's a brilliant guy.
That's what I mean. Wouldn't this be a predecessor to like CNN?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I see. Like, I'm not even doubting the quality of this. It just doesn't seem to make sense on this list.
In terms of its influence, because it was part of my era, I would say, yeah, it deserves.
I guess so.
Maybe not this far.
I wouldn't say this high. I'd say 60 Minutes would be higher.
60 game shows get in on this list too.
60 Minutes might even still be in here.
Might still be on a list.
It's 60 Minutes started way earlier than this. This was like one interview for like an entire hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you say, Pro?
Do game shows get on this list as well?
No, not yet.
We haven't seen it yet.
Not yet.
Uh-oh.
Get ready then.
Until Ted Koppel decided
to There we go.
Yeah.
On live TV.
Well, if the game show with Meghan Markle isn't on here, I'm leaving.
ER. Okay, now I'm surprised this is higher than MASH.
I hated this show.
I'm not, because it was popular at the time that they were writing this article.
That's true. It was still on the air.
I remember
the list,
hating this as a kid because it took away from my cartoon time. And there's only one. I was in a one TV household, so I didn't know what happened to the show, and I resented the show because the adults want to watch the grown-up show.
My problem was it didn't really do anything original. It didn't really bring anything new to the table. The only thing it had was it's basically like all these young, fresh 90210 good-looking doctors in what was ostensibly St. Elsewhere.
Was it still on when this was done? Yeah, it was still on.
And dancing.
Yeah, this is a cast at that time. Yeah, it doesn't have any.
Wasn't
there's not too many of the original
Hospital?
cast there.
General Hospital.
Yeah, notice there's not one person at this hospital that's over the age of 30 or 40.
I never.
Not a lot of wisdom in that roster.
And then it banked on the whole, like, I think it was produced by Spielberg and Crichton, wasn't it? Or wasn't that the deal or something like that? If not, Crichton was definitely involved.
And Clooney was on it in the beginning.
Oh, so. This is what made him hot. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what made him.
Because if you watch the show, if I remember right, wasn't it the one guy, because it was originally supposed to be more revolved around
Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards, Revenge of the Nerds. And as soon as everybody kind of like started going gaga over Clooney, then it was like, oh, then they shifted the focus onto him, and then he turned around and left the show for a movie career.
Yep.
Well, he and Juliana Margulies, that was a big thing.
I think
I worked in hospitals at the time, and all the nurses and doctors hated this damn show because they did everything wrong.
To be fair to Clooney, I think he stuck around for a season or two after he'd started making movies. I remember at the time him saying, "No,
he had a contract,
yeah, but he didn't try and get out of it. He stuck with it.
They wrote him off with dignity."
Yeah.
The one thing I liked about this compared to like shows that we're getting more recently, like Grey's Anatomy, is at least ER stuck with some actual emergency room type storylines while weaving in some soap opera elements. The newer shows, they may take place in a hospital, but it's all soap opera in a hospital. There are no like storylines that are actually about what the show's, where the show is.
That's a good point.
So it's like a general hospital.
General Hospital is the one I
Yeah.
was thinking. I always saw this.
Well, I'm
as just
thinking
being
Grey's
like that.
Anatomy, but yeah.
I was just going to say Grey's Anatomy, which is basically this mixed with Bridget Jones's Diary. Yeah.
Scrubs is way better than any of them. Scrubs is way better than any of them.
Grey's Anatomy, they had a plane crash and almost all of them survived.
That's right, yeah.
we loved Saint
Hospital.
Of course they did.
It's like Chicago Jones.
Did it
from
crash
Hollywood
into the
Shalom.
hospital ER department? And then,
Actually, I think they ended up buying the hospital because of the settlement they got from the plane crash. Something around, I don't know. And then they killed off Patrick Dempsey's character because he had an affair with his wife in real life. And that's why they wrote him off on that show.
I did love that the guy in the upper right in the picture. I can't remember.
Oh yeah,
RoboCop. Yeah,
I loved that he got his arm taken off by a helicopter, and then at the end of the series, he got killed by a helicopter falling off the building and landing on him.
And he called his shot. He called his shot.
Yep, and he was a complete dick in the show. So everybody
he was like the
actually
only one who
hearing
was
it.
over the age of like 30 something. Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, Hill Street Blues was a better show than this.
Oh,
way
absolutely.
better. Way better.
All right. So
In the
let's see
heat of
where
the
we go
night,
from
yeah.
here. In the heat of the night. Ah.
Yeah, this is because these were airing at the time.
Now it deserves to be on the list, but not this flipping high.
It's too hot a show.
Yeah.
Netflix made huge bank off of this show.
Oh, I'm sure they did. I tried to watch this. I guess you could say no, because friends of mine watched it when I was in high school, and I could never get into it.
You can't underestimate, because I was living in New York City at the time, and after 9/11, how big this show was for that area because of all that stuff and things from there. So
And if
I actually
there were
met
women on the
David
panel,
Schwimmer.
I think the reaction would be different. So
I agree. Like my point is does it belong on the list? Absolutely, positively. I'm not going
Not
to argue
here.
that it doesn't belong on the list. But before MASH, no.
No.
That's my problem right now. Now we've reached a point where we
Yeah.
have like like I guess a goalpost or whatever to look at, and to me they went way outside of that. Because Friends, yes, was it influential at the time? Definitely, it was a trend-setting show. But is it better than the shows that are probably that are already past this list? No. Like this would be one of the ones I would put near the end of the list because
Well, they were selling magazines still at this time, so these had to be up there.
granted, I'm not gonna deny that, but
And NBC was very powerful during that time.
my argument is just the placing of it. But anyway,
Oh,
here we go.
100%.
Saying elsewhere. I just
Wow, higher than ER. This is
well,
one of my-
and it belongs to be there. Yeah,
This is one of my favorite shows.
It was a better show.
It was very
By far.
funny. Mrs. Hofnagel getting killed in the bed.
Amazing cast.
Oh, fantastic!
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I'm glad this is here. Yeah, this was Denzel Washington's first show.
Yep.
There's some very powerful actors on.
And each actor was so clearly delineated that I was always impressed with.
They even
each
tried
character.
they even convinced us that Howie Mandel was a good actor.
And you know what? Well, Howie Mandel was purposely hired because I was friends with him at the time.
No, I love Howie. I'm just picking.
No, I don't give a shit.
I'm not friends with him now, Tom.
No.
Screw the guy.
He's that he was supposed to be the comic relief, but he wasn't. It ended up being the tall blonde guy, and the relationship that he had with William Daniels, that he was constantly fearing for his career. What was the name of the
Ed Begley or the
Ed
other
Begley?
one? Yeah.
Ed Begley, and the relationship, the fear he had for William Daniels, that became the main comedic thrust of the show. It was hilarious. It was just fantastic.
I was gonna say, yeah, because Howie was a bit more dramatic. I mean, he actually
Not at the beginning. At the first few shows, he was actually the prankster,
right.
but then they stopped it.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. So you got to remember when I came into this show came out when I was 2 years old.
Yeah,
so I remember the last few years more than I remember the earlier years. But yeah,
so there you go. The evolution of a TV show that a TV show can do, but then streaming can't, because when they shoot all 10 shows at once, you're done and you don't get any audience reaction to make some adjustments 5 shows in. You know,
That's a good point.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's almost as if Paul's done this for his entire life.
That's how they got rid of Howie Mandel
Maybe that's
doing
why I wanna
Bobby's
do
voice
it.
the whole way through. Didn't go well.
30 something. Okay.
Very
I can see why it's on the
influential
list,
show.
but too high on the list, but still I can see why. Yeah.
This is one of the greatest lines in television history in it.
Which is?
So they were going, their business had failed. They were going to work for the guy. I can't remember what his name is, but he played an asshole.
Oh,
very well.
I know. Yes, the ad guy.
He goes in and like, and they're complaining to him. He goes, you know, it's not that you're upset with me that bothers me. It's the fact that you think I should care.
Yes.
Yes.
He
And
was great.
I love that line. He was
the
so good at
curly
the
haired
line.
guy.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
That was, you know what? I love this
Timothy
show.
Busfield.
Timothy
No.
Busfield. You're right. Yeah.
No, that was
another
the name of,
nerd.
that wasn't the name of the guy who was running the agency.
No. He wasn't the other one.
I think this. It's funny. I've completely forgotten about this show.
Oh, okay.
But it was unique in its time.
It was very big in the 5-year run that it had. Yeah.
But I don't think it should be up there this.
But
cheers.
I'm going to throw some shit here in a minute.
Okay. Cheers.
We don't want to do that.
How is MASH and Cheers so low on the list?
Well,
but they're saying 30-something is only one less good than Cheers. I mean, that's no way.
That's the other thing, right?
MASH
Like,
should be above Cheers.
I'm not going to
I
argue
agree.
that, but
I agree.
But MASH and Cheers are definitely top 10, top 5 material here. Like, what the fuck?
Wow.
I mean, this top 10 better be amazing.
It makes me wonder where Night Court's going to fall.
Because we haven't even,
right.
we haven't even hit shit like Saturday Night Live yet and stuff like that you know is going to be on the list. That I'm like, that's anyway.
Probably if you watch the new one with Melissa Rauch.
Cheers.
Yeah, not great.
No,
Great TV show. It managed to do one of the few things in history that most shows can't get over, and that's get past the will they, won't they hump. It actually brought in a new character, and it stayed strong. And go ahead, Paul.
I agree. I'm just saying,
They brought in a couple new characters.
Anybody walks into a bar nowadays, people go, from there, Norm. You know, it just.
Well, here's my Norm story. I had a meeting at Paramount. I got lost. I ended up in the Cheers set completely by myself. And it was quite dark. And I went, wow, the Cheers set. And I went to Norm's stool and I sat in it for about 5 minutes. And then I left before I thought, in case the security guard came by. And
you know what? I got to applaud you, though. You did exactly what every fan of the show would do.
So I felt,
Look how normal Woody Harrelson looks. I'm not like he looks way too normal. Like nowadays,
buck then, man.
I know. Oh man, he looks like I guess you could say more like an anarchist nowadays. But man, look at back then. He's like he's like a preppy, gentleman guy.
He was a great update to Coach.
Oh,
well, and I wonder if the front part of this list is going to be very action heavy, because notice outside of a few random shows, we haven't had many action shows besides a couple westerns.
Well, let's keep going.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering here.
I'm really dying.
It's a day show, okay, I guess.
Good Lord.
See, I would never think of things like that.
Once again, this is not.
See, these are the kind of things I think should have been exempt from the list.
Shows.
Yeah.
Once again, this doesn't make sense to me.
Trendy shows and news shows, I don't think should have qualified.
Yeah, I don't think news shows, but you could have had something like Unsolved Mysteries or something like that.
That's
that I could see Unsolved Mysteries. But
all right, moving on. Fuck it.
Make sense.
All right, here we go. Here's more Carol Burnett show. One of the funniest.
Well, hold on 1 second. If the Today Show had featured the original host, was it Jack Parr who was the very first?
Was it Jack?
The original is Dave Garroway, according to the first line.
Correct. And if they had shown that picture, I kind of would have agreed. That was a revolutionary show. There was no morning show. So in the context,
so it's the invention of the morning show. Okay.
Yes. So from a hugely important invention, but they should have had the Dave Garroway version.
All right, fair enough. Well, here we go though. This one though is a show that I don't think anybody can argue with.
Nope.
Clearly one of the funniest women of all time and still with us, thankfully. But not only that, a supporting cast of some of the funniest fucking people ever.
Tim Conway's dentist is one of the
Oh my
funniest
God.
ever in history.
Harvey Korman.
Ever.
Harvey Korman and Tim Conway.
I know.
And
It's
Vicki
just-
Lawrence. And I mean, and Burnett herself.
The outtakes from this show on YouTube are unbelievably funny.
It was groundbreaking stuff.
Well, Mama's Family is still one of my favorite shows, which was a spin-off of this.
Spin-off of the. Vicki Lawrence was, I think, underrated. But what a powerful
she knew her
stage
role.
actor. She was a stage actress, and what she could do on the show and singing, and she was amazing.
Well, and this is a testament to the two ladies, right? Because she knew her role, except for when Mama came along. The whole thing was that Eunice was supposed to be the main character there, because that was Carol Burnett's character,
right?
But as soon as they realized that the reaction to Vicki playing Mama was getting the bigger reactions, Carol let her run with it.
Yeah,
right?
Carol was a very gracious person when it came to that.
Because she had the best comebacks, of course. Because she had these fucking stupid kids. But no, it's at this show. I mean, I'm talking about influential, and when people talk about women can be funny, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, we know Carol Burnett was funny. Melissa McCarthy ain't. They're okay.
That's a
little
good
mean.
point. No, it's honest.
But I could have put a better person than Melissa McCarthy there, but Amy Schumer would have been a better one. But you know,
yeah.
And they used so much of the cast for the Star Wars special.
She was in that. Yep. Carol Burnett was in it. Harvey Korman was in it.
Probably a lot of the same producers.
B. Arthur was in it. And Buddy Ebsen, I believe, was in it.
Was he?
It's a terrible show.
I don't remember Buddy Ebsen being in, but I do remember
the Star Wars special.
Yeah, the Star Wars special. Yeah.
Or is Jimmy Stewart? Someone like that was in it. Real weird.
Tim Conway and no, I think I know who you're thinking of, and I can't think of his name now either.
Yeah. Anyway.
Ed Sullivan Show. Okay, well, here's a variety show, but at the same time,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize this thing ran this long. Holy shit. 48 to 71.
So this was the most powerful show on television for a good long time. Ed made careers the way Johnny Carson later made careers.
Yep.
Right here in our show, we have Tipper Giger. We're still able to do a useless imitation that no one knows who he is.
My grandmother never missed a show.
Right here. Oh,
but one of the most famous lines that everybody still remembers. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on our show.
Like Beatles.
The Beatles. Yes.
And the act that appeared more times than any other act on the Ed Sullivan Show.
It wasn't a guy spinning plates, was it?
Nope. It was oh god damn it, the Canadian duo of Frank and Johnny Wayne and Schuster.
Wayne and Schuster.
Wayne and Schuster appeared more time at all, and they had a deal where they could play their sketch for whatever length the sketch was, and no one was allowed to cut it. And it was just an amazing relationship they had with the Ed Sullivan Show.
You know what I love about the fact that this was written in 2002 is they bring up the things that they would ignore today. That it championed African-American artists like Pearl Bailey, Lena Horne, and Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Not only that, like who would have taken the chance with somebody like Elvis at that time or the Beatles, right? Like people got to remember, like, yeah, now we're looking at that's quaint. No, you got to remember having Elvis or the Beatles on a TV show and live fucking TV would like putting Johnny Rotten on live TV. Or that's even an old reference.
Elvis was arrested a lot.
There you go, Tom. You're trying to rewrite a history.
I know, right? But Paul, it sounded like you were going to say something there. Sorry.
Nope.
Okay, moving on then. Hill Street Blues.
Too low.
One of the shows that says its song is the name of the show in the theme song. Hill Street Blues.
Is that a Mike Post?
Mike Post
Mike
theme.
Post.
Yep. As the Who
There's
sang.
always stuff that's going
My dad has
on
a
at Hill
stack
Street Blues.
of 45s of nothing but Mike Post
Oh,
television themes.
dude. Do you have a good record player? Does he have?
Yeah,
a good
he has a good record player. We have a
Plug
good one
it
here.
if you can plug it into a USB thing. Get me those ripped, man. I would love you long time.
Yeah, he's got. I have. He still has the original King Tut from. Steve
I got
Martin
a good
from
copy of
45.
that.
I have that on
I've got
45.
I was going to say I've got the well. Luckily, not to go too much on a venture here, but Dr. Demento, when he put out his greatest hits album, it has the 45 version on it. So that's
He has a 45 there. Oh,
yeah, so it's good because for those who don't know out there, the reason why that's important is because on the album that Steve put that on, it's over faded with cheering and laughing from the last joke, and it's kind of muddled.
Yeah,
so when you
'cause
get
he
the
did a live
45, it
album.
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't have all the shit in the front end of it, so it's a clean version of it, basically. Yeah.
Pete
All right, so
Townsend
you want the
even wrote a
45s
song
of the
about
micro
Mike
stuff.
Post.
Okay.
Oh, I would love that, man. Yeah.
Pete
Right.
Townsend wrote a song about it, and it was on a Who album, Mike Post theme. It was on a Who album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Oh,
famous.
what he
but-
did
but
SWAT.
the show itself,
He did
I mean,
this. He did
this show was a predecessor to
all
things
of them?
like NYPD Blue and like he had the Shield a few years back and some other like I mean, talk about cop shows that not only are because we had cop shows up to Hill Street Blues, but I don't know, was there anything this raw and real like this show though?
Not that I
No.
can recall.
No, this was had like unbelievable humor too. Like you'd be crying and then suddenly laughing as the bad guy fell out the window.
Mhm.
You know, the assholes, just out of nowhere, falls out the window, dead. He's dead. He's hit the ground. Man, this was a revolutionary show, and you had unbelievably strong female characters in it.
In the 80s.
In
Matt,
the
they're not-
80s.
No.
I
No
Yeah, 81
way.
to 87. So this is a very quintessentially
Cagney and
80s
Lacey,
show.
anyone?
And this
Characters,
was produced by MTM.
Yeah, it was a Botchko show. Yep.
Yeah, but this was his
characters
first
you
job.
cared about. You cared about these characters. You really
Oh,
cared
man.
about them. Yeah.
Yep.
I was devastated when somebody would die.
What are the odds of Cop
and,
Rock showing up on this list?
and you know the ending of this was one of the strange endings of because they knew it was it's just I think it was just
I don't
Bunce
remember
walking
the
out the
ending.
door. Bunce just walked out the door and that was it. Show
Was it?
over.
Okay.
Yeah. Done.
All right.
There
Well,
was
we're getting to the
no-
top 10 here. Oh, Dick Van Dyke Show. Here we go. This is why I said you better get some heavy hitters for this top.
One of the most. Yep.
Yep.
You could he not only the song is so memorable, but you can see and hear the entire intro in your head.
Okay,
It's
well,
so
this
memorable.
show, not only did it spawn, I don't know how many shows as far as like beyond it that are similar, but like, I mean, man, this, when I joked earlier about, you know, a Nick at Night staple, this is the show that the reason Nick at Night exists.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like this show was one of the reasons, like, because this show would just play on in syndication constantly, right next to Lucy. Every day, I remember it was Dick Van Dyke Show and Lucy constantly running in.
And it was huge in the UK. Actually ruined it for me because when the show I saw it in reruns because I always thought Dick Van Dyke was from the East End of London.
Hey, mate.
Chimney. But you watch this, he's not from London at all, is he? They conned me.
As a young lad, I remember that seeing Mary Tyler Moore in those black dance tights was a very important moment in my life.
Yeah, I was telling my dad, I was like, one of the daughters was wearing, I said, and you know, it's just too tight and all this stuff. And he's like, come here. And he pulls up a picture of Mary Tyler Moore in the capris.
Yes.
He goes, like this? And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Because I was about to pull one of those in my mom's era. They never did. And Dad goes, your mom looked really good in those. That's why you're here. And I was like, okay.
Just for research purposes, I'm looking at that right now. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
She was
those capri pants?
And to find such a beautiful woman who was also so bloody talented. I remember there's a show on how they found her, and I think she made the show. I think as much as we love Dick Van Dyke and Maury Amsterdam, Mary Tyler Moore was.
Oh, well, she was one of the premier television beauties, right? The mom, and I mean,
well,
but now,
prior to that, she was a commercial model that opened up refrigerators and pointed to the innards of them. That's what she did. And a dancer.
Now, this is funny because I just had a spark here, if I remember right now, because the show that you brought up earlier that we were talking about, that I was like, oh, I don't remember that, but which one wasn't that the show that he worked on that this was based upon, like his experience, the Sid Caesar one?
Yeah, Show of Shows.
Yes,
the Show of Shows. Okay, so I have heard about it before, and I just had a brain fart. I'm like, okay,
and Carl Reiner was in the pilot. He was the Dick Van Dyke character.
Yeah, it was based on his experience. Yeah,
and it was the pilot was absolutely nobody liked it, and everyone hated him. Everyone hated Reiner, so they went out and got Dick Van Dyke to replace.
But the point I was going to get to is like, this is another one of those occasions where the show that it's inspired by isn't nearly as famous as the show that it was inspired. That inspired it. It inspired. Thank you.
So Dr. Coffin Nails in the chat has pointed out that Carl Reiner was miscast as himself.
Yes. It happens.
Well, and you got to think about it, though.
Hollywood more
like
than
Carl
that.
Reiner plays certain characters perfectly,
I know.
but he's not a leading man kind of guy.
No.
Dick Van Dyke was, just brilliant in the role. And
I'll be interesting to. It'll be interesting to see whether the Milton Berle show is higher up.
I wonder, because that hasn't. There's some shows that haven't showed up. I'm like wondering if they're ever going to show up on the list now. But
What about Dame Edna?
I'm having my doubts.
Yeah. But here we go. The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Absolutely.
6 months and 2 days after the late night neurotic Jack Parr walked off the Tonight Show, a replacement arrived. A young game host. I was gonna say, because I knew he came on pretty early. So yeah. I mean, talk about a staple in television. Yeah.
And
yes, and now the Johnny Carson estate, or whatever you want to call it, has got access to his shows, and they've clipped them on YouTube. And I'm watching endless shows of the very first Richard Pryor appearance, very first appearance of Robin Williams, and man, and the old black
ones.
Yes, and the old black and white ones with Bing Crosby, with Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. And you're just howling with laughter because the two guys just don't care, and they're smoking and they're drinking. And there's this one gag where Dean Martin turns to Carson and says, "Hey, do you have anything to drink?" And Carson reaches back, grabs a glass of water, and Dean Martin goes, "I haven't seen this since I was 16." And just the old gag. It was a real, guy show. I mean, to tell you the truth,
and it was a thing that it was always part of my life, of course, and it was one of those things that I remembered. It was either one of those rare occasions when I was a kid that I got to watch the show, and the show would start up and you heard the theme song, or when I got older, it was still there with me until I was about 12 years old when he left, and it just wasn't the same. Late night television hadn't been the same since.
No. And Doc Severinsen and
Johnny had class, a certain kind of class that nobody else has had since. It just,
and he's
I'd say the only one who's come close since was Craig Ferguson.
Probably,
maybe
he actually had the personality to carry the show without having to go.
If you want to see crazy. A terrible Doc Severinsen moment, look up the ZZ Top's first appearance. Where the Doc Severinsen Orchestra accompanies them.
Oh, it was awful.
Horrific.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
I gotta go look at that.
I do not. Yeah, share that with me if you find it, Brian.
Paul, you and I have been watching the same YouTube.
Yes,
I love these shows, and
I love them too. I watched like the Richard Pryor ones, especially because I
anything Don Rickles and him. I'm watching.
Well, I got started because I looked for a few months back when we did the Superman thing, and I actually had a box set of VHS of the best moments of the Tonight Show, so that was another thing why I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing a lot of these. But I was going looking for the Superman story because I knew Richard Pryor told it on Carson, basically, and it's the one that got him the job in part 3, where he basically spoils the whole Superman too. before the movie came out. And Johnny makes the joke at the end, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm sure Warner Brothers Pictures is real happy that you just told everybody what their big Christmas movie was all about this year." He's like, "No, but it's great, man. Everybody want to go see it." And it's like, yeah, it's a great thing where he's just all excited about Superman.
I think the Jonathan Winters episode.
Oh, Jonathan Winters is great. Yeah.
So let's keep going here.
Yeah.
Okay, I have seen that ZZ Top before. I remember it now. Yeah, the horn section and everything.
Wow. So the Mary Tyler Moore show beat out Dick Van Dyke show, huh?
I would agree with that.
But see, this show didn't exist because women didn't do this kind of thing before now.
I'm going to make it after all.
Jennifer Lawrence wasn't born yet, so this doesn't exist.
Oh, Tom, very good. Tom, that was a great reference.
First 4 years of Mary Tyler Moore were really good, and if you are aficionados of the show, it turns to shit after that.
Yeah, I remember the first few years being pretty good. I've never been like a huge fan of it, but I enjoyed it for the most part.
But yep.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Had some spin-offs.
I'm being cruel. Yeah.
And I knew this was going to come up sooner or fucking later. And again, we're to this point where I know when this list was made, it's still even a question I have to ask. Do we really have more good years of SNL than bad years to really look back on at this point?
Well, I mean,
it's a harder sell today.
That's not why it's here.
No, I know. I agree with Paul. I know why it's here. I agree. It's placed pretty much where it should.
If you don't have the first season of Saturday Night Live, you don't have the Muppets.
And who was the first host? Who was the first host?
It was the guy that told us about
George Carlin.
George Carlin. That's right.
George Carlin. Didn't he do 3 shows that first year?
I think so.
They had trouble finding people.
But Richard Pryor was in that first year. Candace Bergen was on a couple times the first year too.
Wasn't Andy Kaufman on the first year?
Andy Kaufman was kind of
Mighty Mouse thing.
He was actually part of the
cast.
What you call it?
The secondary cast.
Yeah, because it was hilarious because was it in 80, 81 when he had to vote Andy Kaufman off the show and people voted him off the show?
No, yeah, that's right.
People hated him.
Oh God, he knew how to piss people. He was the original troll.
You want to get scared? Watch the first season of Saturday Night Live and the Jim Henson Muppets.
Oh,
when they come on with that space thing, holy cow!
Yeah, it didn't work.
Did not work. It fell flat on its face, and thank God because then he came up with the rest of it.
Yeah. It did create the Muppet Show, but let's let Nick go and then we'll comment a little bit on SNL here. Nick, thank you for being here, buddy. I'm sorry you have to leave at the top 10.
It's all good, man. No, I'll be watching the rest of this in the morning. This has been an awesome show, and hearing Paul's and his knowledge on all this stuff has been incredible to listen to, and just try to chime in when I can, when I feel relevant. But dude,
sorry,
no, dude, I could listen to you and I'm just entertained. I love it, and always good to hang out with you guys. 70s, Andy, Tox, Brahma, Tom, and good rant to WWE.
What's the Toxic Tuesday movie?
I'm gonna call you WWF, but WWF. Hard Times. Charles
Hard
Bronson.
Times. That's right.
Yes. So Toxic Tuesday, Hard Times this Tuesday night. Ironcaster and I are reviewing Conan the Barbarian #3 this week from Titan Comics. Hang out, folks. This will be a great show. Thanks for having me, Tom. Good night, guys. Good night, chat. Thank you.
All right. So here we are. Look. Okay, yes, I agree with Paul. This show belongs on here. It's here for a reason. For all the reasons we've already said, but I got to know what's everybody's either favorite character or favorite sketch from SNL over the years. Let's start with you, Pro, since you're at the bottom here.
Oh gosh, my favorite. Wow, what a hard question. My favorite from Saturday Night Live. Go to somebody else. Let me think on that. That's a hard one because there's
fine. I'll do my first one because I have a couple.
That's cheating.
What's your favorite? I'm gonna go with 3, but you get 1.
Candygram.
Mm-hmm.
Are you that pesky shark that everybody's talking about?
That's the one I was going to go for.
I'm just a dolphin man. Land shark. Oh my God. Okay, go ahead, bro.
I think my favorite skit was recurring skit with Christopher Walken, the Continental.
Oh yeah.
Champagne. Loved that.
All right.
And he hosted a ton of times, but and the cowbell skit is still one of the classic ones.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one too. Toxie.
I am black and you are white. You are blind as a bat and I have sight. Yeah, I'm not going to sing the rest of it. But
you're my amigo.
I've forgotten about that.
Yeah. Let's not fight. Oh man, that Samurai Night Fever. Those two there. When Richard Pryor came on to do Samurai Night Fever, and they did Yo Mama-san. Oh my God, was that? There's so many. There's just so many. But yeah,
damn it.
I'm Gumby, damn it. But when Joe Piscopo and Eddie Murphy sat down to sing that song as
Ebony and Ivory.
We could do this better than them.
It was Stevie Wonder and
as the chairman of the board. He was
Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra. Yeah.
All right, Brahma.
I already went, but I can go for another one. Celebrity Jeopardy.
I'm sorry, you look just like
the other bald guy.
See, this is the problem. Every time one of you guys says a new one, I think, oh yeah, I could go for that one instead.
Why don't you just go think in a van down by the river?
Chris Farley. Okay. I will pick one. I love all of those. I love all of them. That's why I can't pick. But if I had to choose one, I go with the one that did not air by Will Ferrell. That's my favorite, which is The Old Prospector, Gus Chiggins.
Yep.
Will Ferrell. I love it. It makes me laugh so hard.
I don't know if I've
that
seen
one is great.
Oh, Gus Chiggins.
Anyway, 70 Rock fan is what I meant.
Well,
yes.
some of them. I mean, Brahma mentioned the more cowbell. Chris Farley interviewing Paul McCartney is a
remember that time you were in the band called the Beatles?
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
So many. It's more the characters than the individual sketches I always think of. I mean, they're like the wild and crazy guys. They crack me up every time. You've got the Mike Myers, Wayne's World, Sprockets. Pet my monkey.
I am Dieter, and we are Sprockets.
So when's it my turn?
Yeah, I was going to say,
reading the chat, by the
Brian,
way.
you're cheating here. You're cheating.
The chat is great here. Toots is the driving cat. I forgot all about Toots.
Oh, Toots is. Oh no! If we're gonna we have to have another episode of just commercials.
3 times a maybe.
Dr. Porkenheimer's boner.
Colonel Angus.
Go, Paul.
Andy's turn.
I'm sorry, Andy. Sorry.
Andy.
Jane, you ignorant slut.
Oh, yes.
And
Good one.
Bill Murray's apology was like, that was classic.
Generalissimo Francisco Franco.
Paul?
So I'm going to go for 2. One is the Chevy Chase Richard Pryor bit on being black.
Oh, yeah. Can't say that today.
Nope.
No, that's
groundbreaking TV right there.
That was a fantastic bit. And the other one that my wife and I laugh uproariously every time we see it is the Baldwin one with Lisa Gasnier.
The sweaty balls.
Sweaty balls. The Dusty Muffin. Sweaty balls. The Christmas one. Where it's performed so well.
The ASMR kind of way, yeah.
Yes, in that ASMR. So anyway, those are my 2.
No, that's a great one. The other one I was gonna pick was I always loved the buckwheat one. That was funny.
Oh yeah.
Buckwheat.
But the one that I really loved was a Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood where he gets a divorce because he's like, I just threw my wife out today because she spent all the rent money on a new dress. You see this, kids? I didn't have to take it off for her to get those boot prints on it either.
I forgot Sean Connery. Back.
Oh yeah,
I forgot that's what your mother's
I'll
a
take
whore.
the rapist for 500.
Buckfutter.
Oh, what Buckwheat sings. I mean, one of the greatest albums of all time.
Once, twice, 3 times a maybe.
Eyes.
This only makes me sad for the current generation.
1995 to box 33. New York.
Oh, the drunken asses when they sing. Oh God.
I watched I've been fairly religious since the beginning, even through some horrible periods, and I stopped watching it the moment that Musk was on and half the cast
boycotted
it, and I went, wow.
Okay, goodbye.
Wow.
That's not comedy.
That's not Saturday Night Live, right? Like that's
no.
Like
no,
Saturday Night Live.
That's another. That's anti-comedy.
I'm glad I quit watching it before this more recent cast.
Anyway,
call,
so
because,
that's
where
that
I
to
dipped
me.
out.
That to me was the point of no return. Kind of, I don't watch NFL football anymore. When I saw Rice beat up his wife in that elevator, and the NFL did nothing,
covered it up,
and I went, I have not watched NFL since. It
I've
bothered
never
me
really
so
watched
much.
it in years
Anyway,
either.
so I
agree with you. And in my opinion, the last cast of Saturday Night Live was like Tina Fey and Will Ferrell and all those guys. That was the last cast. After that, to me, it doesn't exist anymore.
So
when Kristen Wiig is the funniest thing you've got, you're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
All
right. Moving on. We got number 9.
You know what, Tom? We need to do a list of Saturday Night Live skits.
We should.
Our favorite Saturday Night Live skits.
Write that down for our list show.
I'm writing it down right now. Yeah, we're doing that.
All right, Andy Griffiths. Now, this is a show, I said it a couple times here, but this is what this top 10 should all be about. This is one of the reasons TV fucking exists. The Andy Griffiths Show ran 60 to 68. I mean, Don Knotts.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing fucking
Don
show.
Knotts killed it.
Amazing show. I mean, I still love it to this day. I still watch it once in a while. It's got a great Blu-ray release of it. So, yeah.
I mean, the drunk arrests himself.
God, yeah.
You gotta love that. And whenever Don Knotts, this show, Apple Dumpling Gang, one of the sweetest
He's
memories.
got one bullet.
Right. Yeah, he has a one bullet. I watched the Apple Dumpling Gang because he and Tim Conway are in it.
Yeah.
Don Knotts, all the movies he was in, all that stuff, all that window in that I had to Don Knotts all came because I watched this show.
Because Andy won't trust him with more than one bullet.
And the thing is, there was always a moral story. I mean, that was the point of this show, was a moral dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it was about a sheriff who was able to sheriff a town without a gun. If you notice, Andy never carried a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why the NRA does not recommend this show.
No, it does not. No, but I mean, he would when shit would hit the fan, he'd grab his rifle.
NRA.
But that was kind of the whole point is, Don Knotts was constantly like, he's ready to, shoot somebody.
That was a great Don Knotts movie.
But Andy was always coming in and, that was the beauty of the show.
The Incredible Mr. Limpet.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's a great fucking movie.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Amazing movie. And then, but the thing is like, he would come in and like you just said, he would deal with problems in a manner that wasn't traditional for a police officer to deal with them, but he dealt with them in a way because he knew these people, right? He was so close to all these people. This is where he grew up, and it was always a more of a social thing than it was a criminal act, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Every girl that I ever dated, my brother did a test on them when he would say, he would ask them what they thought of the Andy Griffith Show, and if they did not like it, he would just point at them and say, "Out, you're out."
So is Ron Howard going to be in the top 10 twice?
Good question.
Ooh, Sunday, Monday.
Happy days.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah, the show is a top 10.
And I got to agree, it's got to be up here, even if I don't like the last few years.
No,
those first 20 years, man. I mean,
isn't this the longest running show in history?
It is the longest running show in history.
I just want to say it's about damn time, and they should be way higher.
Donut. There's no question this show has changed.
Oh yeah.
Changed television.
A ton.
I mean, it propelled Fox for a long time.
Well, and it's another one of those where it's a spin-off of it's more famous than the original show that it spun off.
And it's got a couple of spin-offs that have really worked out. I like Futurama. I think it's a great show. So
if you consider that a spin-off per se, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's from the same mind.
Same creators, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, like it's one of those TV shows that changed television. It wasn't since the Flintstones, I think, was the last time they had a primetime adult-oriented television show, to my knowledge, that was even remotely close to the successful, or even kind of they had attempted it at that point.
I had a Don't Have a Cow baseball shirt.
But I mean, The Simpsons created so many imitators, and now, I mean, you have almost an entire network built on basically like Adult Swim, that whole thing.
You don't have Family Guy if you don't have The Simpsons, right?
None of that.
It's
Like I said,
what happened with the poo thing. I'll tell you that. It
absolutely.
that, yeah,
that's at the point where the show has gone downhill. But I can tell you, any one of us here could name a good 5, and this is another one of our lists, probably a good 5 favorite episodes of just the first fucking 10 years, let alone 20 years, I bet.
Yep.
Or more
Easily.
than that. Like,
Who
those
needs the
first
quickie
few
mark?
seasons.
Who shot Mr. Burns?
Oh my God, those first few seasons are landmark
Monorail.
television, in my opinion. And I don't
Should
know,
I
Paul,
write this down as another show? We should do a top 10.
Maybe, but Paul, keep the ideas coming. But Paul, I don't
Yes,
even.
you could do that.
Paul, you've been quiet, so I don't know how you feel about The Simpsons. But
no, I think it's great. The point I want to make is along the lines of being the graybeard in this, is that again, why was this show good? The show was good because, well, you got Matt Groening, but you also had James L. Brooks. These are not people.
100%.
So the point is that he is not just some schmuck who fell off the community college truck. He did Room 222, Paul Sands, Friends and Lovers, Phyllis, Mary Tyler Moore Show. He wrote 168 episodes of that.
And movies, too.
And movies. He did Lou Grant. He did Taxi. He was one of the Terms of Endearment, Broadcast News, the Tracy Ullman Show. So you're going, one of the reasons this is there is because of the level of expertise that someone like James L. Brooks brings to it. And this is what infuriates me when you get Kurtzman Trek and all this trash that's out there.
Right.
Where you're just, where are the Journey people? Like, is there anyone left out there to learn from? I would, like, Kurtzman is an acolyte of J.J. Abrams. Oh, thank fucking Christ. Good. Thank God that he learned from J.J. Wow.
Yeah, basically, yeah, you're right.
Thank you. Wow, there's your lineage.
Yeah.
It's not Taxi. It's not Room 222. Anyway, so that's the point.
No, I agree with you 100%, man.
You know why a show like The Simpsons is great?
Wow.
It's because it has dozens of characters.
Oh, yeah.
Even the smallest of characters have their own arcs and their own jokes and their own interplay. It's not always just about the main characters. That was the genius of it.
Yeah, Mo, everyone.
Yeah,
They must have updated this list because
it
was made in 2002, but it said it ended in 2015.
Well, all of them that are still active, they've been updated.
Okay, I was going to say it had to. I noticed that earlier too. I didn't think about
why
it.
is the Late Show?
Yeah, how is the
Johnny
Late
Carson?
Show up over Johnny Carson? I do not know. I wish I knew the answer because I can't even imagine he ever
Possibly
had the
age of
audience.
the person that wrote it. I mean,
That could very well be.
Yeah, because it's still airing at the time of the list.
Yeah,
that makes sense. This one makes
no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, no.
List done. We're over. Later, folks.
Flip flop it with the Tonight Show, then yeah, we can talk.
Yeah, Tonight Show's a top 10.
And as predicted, I knew
60
60 minutes was going to show up in here. I knew it.
And it's in the number 6 spot. It's getting a little too clever up here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good call
It's
out.
wasted for something that's more important than it, though, I'd say.
Yeah.
Although
60 minutes
this was a show that was a ripoff of a Canadian show called This Hour Has 22. This Hour Has
22 minutes.
No, that's the comedy show.
That's the ripoff of that ripoff. Yeah.
No, this hour has 7 days or something like that. I can't remember. It was a very, very
7 days an hour. No,
so
I know what you're talking about.
It was 7 days in 1 hour.
Yeah,
So,
7 days in 1 hour. Yeah.
Well,
So-
as an American, I want to say thank you for everything we've ripped off.
Some of our best shows are all ripoffs, you're not wrong.
including
Exactly.
the $1 Million Pyramid was borrowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was stolen.
Interesting.
I don't know about this
what?
being so high, but
Oh,
okay.
I'd put it this high. I would.
I would too. I was actually living in the neighborhood they filmed this show in during that time.
Oh, wow.
And
I mean-
it was phenomenal.
Does it
Just
belong
how
in the
everything
top
went around.
50? Yeah, but I don't know about even the top 10 necessarily.
It was such a it was a groundbreaking thing.
It was groundbreaking.
I mean,
I think.
I personally think Boardwalk Empire is better, but that's just me. But
Well-
this show, it was must see TV on a pay network, and everybody found a way to
I guess it would
watch
be
this
the
show.
most successful of the first prestige series for
HBO.
like I was just going to say a
Well,
pay
anybody.
cable, but yeah.
Yeah, pay cable. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, the telling thing about this list is it came out in 99. The list came out in 2002. They were only on season 3 of The Sopranos when they decided to make this a top 5 show in
That's my
history.
other thing. Like, yeah, there's no real sense of
It's like declaring the greatest game of all time in the NFL or the NBA when you're in the first half.
Yeah,
exactly.
Now this should be in the top 5. I would even argue maybe even higher. Even though this is a ripoff of a British show, it eclipses that.
Till death us do part.
This is one of probably the most important fucking shows to have ever been on television. Norman Lear is...
Although this was
go ahead.
nothing like Till Death Do Us Part, that was a shockingly racist show.
Oh, God, yeah.
When I say that, though, I mean it in a few ways.
No, I mean, this was important, this show.
Yeah, Norman Lear with this show, not only did you have the spin-offs that it created, just in that respect, right? But just the fact that it got America talking about so many different fucking topics. And the fact that this show exists is usually my mic drop whenever anybody talks about, diversity and woke this and woke that. It's like, go watch a few episodes of All in the Family and then we can fucking talk. Right? Because that was the show that tackled the shit first. Jeffersons was a spin-off of this. Exactly.
Spin-off of this, and whatever. There was a bunch of spin-offs of this. My father would not let us watch this. He didn't watch it. It reminded him too much of his home life when he was younger.
Wow.
And I went back and watched them, and I can tell you, as someone who saw these in the 90s for the first time, I hate this show. Hate it with a passion. I just can't stand it. It is important, needs to be up here and all that stuff, but that's a personal thing
one of
because
my favorites, but
it just knowing what my family history and stuff and everything about all that and all that stuff from there, it just makes me angry because of that, and it has nothing to do with the show, the quality, or everything that came out of it. All right, from there. So,
well, I'll give Paul, and unless anybody else has anything to say, I'll say final words on this one, and then we'll move on.
The one takeaway that I learned from this show, and I think about this all the time, is that there was a huge demographic in the United States who agreed with Archie Bunker and never understood that he was being pilloried by the end of the episode.
There was some time, though.
That would be the beauty in it, is that if you pillory well, then the folks who are being pilloried don't necessarily.
Yeah.
But
so, anyways, it's a thing that you learn when you write that it's not everything is obvious when you're trying to change the world. People's perception is not always what you think it's going to be. So that's my point.
Well, another thing I liked about the show, and part of that's true, Paul. I'm not going to say you're wrong at all. But the other thing I love about it was that it would show sometimes that, like, through Meathead's hubris and his quickness to jump on Archie and call him a bigot or a racist, there was a lot of times by the end of the episode, you would learn that that's not necessarily the case. There was other reasons surrounding why he would be that way.
Yeah, it was.
And then again, you also had your episodes where at the end he would get kissed by, a
black guy.
A black guy, so you would have those episodes.
Sammy Davis
Jr. Exactly. So at the same time, you would have those where he would get his comeuppance. You're right, but there was those few random times where you would learn something about Archie that you would go, okay, so and what it would do is show a lot of other people, this is why certain people feel this way, but how do we get past this now? Right? Like, that was kind of the thing about the show that I really love too, is if you watch it now, especially in retrospect, right? Knowing of the time that it came out and what, the two butting heads of the show were dealing with constantly as far as like the modern issues. But yeah, anyway.
It's a show of its time.
Very much.
I don't know if it's aged well.
The humor in it still lands, at least in my opinion. Okay, but as far as like the social commentary, I wonder how well that would still land. You're right. Like, I mean, there's a lot of episodes where
it's really on the nose.
Yeah.
It didn't hit well 20 years after the fact.
Maybe
but it
not.
it hit well at the time. It was very important because people would see themselves in Archie and say, I agree with him, and then realize by the end of the show that it was the wrong take. So
and ultimately, comedy should be like that.
Exactly.
I don't have a problem with that.
It wasn't in All in the Family, but in Archie Bunker's plays, Edith's death scene where Archie just finds the slipper is probably one of the most powerful things on television.
Well, that's what shifted the show, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have the Honeymooners, obviously. I mean, it created the sitcom, basically. Of course it belongs here.
The fact that Jackie Gleason, one of the richest men in the world at the time, was a bus driver is hilarious.
And they didn't do many shows.
39.
Yeah, that's right.
And actually, it was a spin-off of, didn't he have like a variety show or something like that before this? And this was actually just supposed to be part of it. And then this became more popular. So it, something to that effect, I thought.
He had a variety show in Florida. And this was one of the sketches.
Oh, okay. That's what it was. Okay. I was going to say, I knew it was like a spin-off of that of sorts.
Away we go.
Yeah.
I thought Art Carney was the best part of this show.
Oh, yes.
I loved Art Carney.
The pool sequence,
well,
snooker sequence.
When we talk about television and movies being ahead of its time, this show is basically the battle of the fucking sexes years ago.
And you couldn't do it now. But this was Laurel and Hardy made modern.
Well, but it also had, the whole like I said, the battle of the sexes element to it.
Well,
too.
and what show? What hugely successful show did this spin out?
The Flintstones.
Correct.
The Flintstones.
Which was more successful than this show.
In a way, you're right. Yeah. But no, like I said, this is kind of quintessentially the pattern for how to do a sitcom. Basically, it's kind of the
this show. Sorry.
Nope, that's it.
Say this show was so far ahead of its time they didn't realize they had invented the sitcom and stopped it at 39 episodes.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, they did pick it up years later in certain other ways, but yeah, it just wasn't the same.
It just wasn't a thing. Of course, doing a show 30 was that 1 year they did 39 episodes, or was it over 2?
I don't know.
I don't recall.
I think it was one season, but
one season, 39 episodes, and that's what Raymond Burr would talk about. We did 40, 50 episodes a year. It was a grueling schedule for doing that, and Jackie Gleason did not do grueling. So,
yeah. And of course, as predicted, I Love Lucy is in the top 5. Yes,
I thought it was going to be number 1.
Me too.
I mean, if Honeymooners invented the sitcom, I Love Lucy kind of perfected it in a sense, I guess, in that era.
This makes me believe what number 1 might be, and it pisses me off.
I think Chad's got it.
It's the Brady Bunch, isn't it?
No, I think Chad's guessing Seinfeld, and based on the way this list has gone,
here we are at
considering the era, it might be Seinfeld.
Yeah.
What have we not seen?
Seinfeld.
A lot.
Happy Days.
Happy Days. The Flintstones. Star Trek.
Either the Munsters or the Addams Family. Green Acres.
The Flying Nun. One of Paul's favorites.
And they don't appear to have included any of the mini-series stuff. So I guess
that they clearly left off.
Yeah. That's
77 Cents Strip.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. 77 Cents Strip.
I mean,
leaving
Lucy,
the Beverly Hillbillies off.
Yeah, Beverly Hillbillies, Addams Family.
And there's been no soaps, no out and out soaps.
Yeah,
no game shows whatsoever.
Like,
no Dallas.
They left game shows off. Yeah, no Dallas.
No Little House on the Prairie. No Leave It to Beaver.
No.
Well, no Dallas is unforgivable. That's
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of I can't believe.
Magnum PI is not
Magnum
there.
PI wasn't. I was
Quantum
surprised.
Leap.
And
Quantum Leap, I can see why that's.
I mean, they had 2 westerns. 2 westerns.
There was only 2 westerns that made the whole list too.
Ziggy would like to talk with you.
I know what's number 1. I know what's number 1.
Rawhide.
Time Tunnel.
All right. Let's. Anybody got anything to say about I Love Lucy that we haven't really? We gave Lucy a lot of.
It's Airwolf, Paul.
Airwolf.
Yeah,
with Ernest Borgnine, baby.
Anybody want to say anything about Lucy before we go to number 1?
One of the greatest television shows of all times. Just hands down.
Get smart.
Yeah.
Ricky.
Lucille Ball's appearances on the Johnny Carson show.
Diversity. She's married to.
Oh, her in the Chocolate Factory. Oh God.
That one's just hilarious. Yeah.
Well, I didn't mean that about the diversity. That was bad, poor timing on Tox's part, but I meant the fact
crossing my fingers for Renegade with
y'all wrong. It's Highlander.
No, it's Renegade.
Blue Thunder. Come on, it's Blue Thunder. We know.
No, wait.
Please be Baywatch.
Xena, Warrior Princess.
The Power Hour. All right.
Yeah.
No Masters of the
Hasselhoff us into
Universe
this
either.
next. Let's go.
There's absolutely no animated
Wait,
shows
no
outside of
Marlon
The
Perkins
Simpsons.
and Wild Kingdom? No Disney?
No I Dream of Jeannie.
No, I Dream of Jeannie? None of that.
No Mickey Mouse
Wonder
Club.
Woman?
You get none of it.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah,
So
no
maybe-
Incredible Hulk.
Maybe we should do a list of the top 50 from that era that were not included on this top
That's
50.
a good
American Bandstand.
Yeah,
Yep.
things like American Bandstand.
Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead.
I would argue that Beavis and Butthead needs to be on this list.
Yeah,
If you're going to put Simpsons, you've got it changed the world.
And South Park too. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, South Park should be in top fucking 10. All right,
Well,
here we go.
Brahma's got the right
Seinfeld.
idea. Let's
It's
do
going
our
to be
own list.
Seinfeld.
I think
Yeah.
you're right. Let's
I think it
see.
is.
It's Seinfeld.
Yep.
Predictable.
I knew it.
Chat had it right.
Somebody had to sell
Yeah.
magazines.
Yeah. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. Where? Okay, so let's. Where would you put this now, though? What would you have as your number one? That's a good question. Let's go there. So, Paul, I'll let you lead this off.
God, that's tough.
Congratulations, Paul. You get it this time.
That is so tough.
Geez.
Are we doing the most
What TV show do you think
influential
is
or the best?
I
the best,
honestly,
influential, all that stuff. The most important
I-
television show in history.
I
Most
probably
important.
would have put the Ed Sullivan Show number
Number
one.
one. That's fair. I can understand that. See,
Hmm.
I would have expected you to do that or the Tonight Show. Yeah.
Mhm.
All
I
right,
agree until
Andy.
someone else has a better answer.
Well, the number one, I think, would be tough to kind of pick, but I think there are so many TV shows that were more that kind of set the stage for things. You can tell, like, when this thing came out, that like what was hot. In retrospect, is some of these things that were like way back on the list, and the news shows. I think it's kind of like a different category. I don't know that I would have a whole lot of different things on there, but I would probably have shifted these things into separate lists for things like, your variety shows, your sitcoms, your news shows, things like that. And I think a lot of it has to do with period too, because all the stuff that I grew up with, the I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, and that kind of led into the 70s series where you had the Jeffersons, All in the Family, Soap, talk about groundbreaking, something like that, poking fun at everything. Yeah, there's a lot that could be put on here, and I think that it's a shame because, like, the younger generations should really take a look at some of this stuff, and I think that's the problem that we have, is that they don't really know what quality is because they've never seen good quality like we have. If you would show some of these things, maybe the kids today would be a little bit more discriminating in what they demand from their entertainment.
Here's a show that I don't see why it would make it, but was possibly one of the most influential shows for me was Mary Hartman.
Mhm.
If anyone saw
I'm not
that,
even sure if I know that one. Yeah.
that's just the most bizarre, strange, surreal thing you will ever see on TV.
All right, Brahma. I did it again. 70s rock fan.
It's so difficult.
Like a tiny. On my screen, all I see is baldness.
So I mean, obviously, I would have a slightly different list, being born and brought up in the UK.
That's fair. Yeah.
Which would include certain things that wouldn't even be considered on here. Things that were on here, I think Hill Street Blues should have been in the top 2 or 3 for me. I mean, when I look back on the impact it had on me, that's my personal preference, though not necessarily the most important show. But I think I would have it a lot higher. Star Trek original series should have been on here. It would be, for me, again, personal impact on me growing up. That show should be in the top 5. And if I was, from a British perspective, Doctor Who, and I'm talking old Who, not new Who, would have been on there for impact and
well,
importance.
Doctor Who and Monty Python even made dents in the US.
Monty Python would possibly be. I think if I was to pick a drama, I'll pick a drama. I, Claudius would be my number one show.
Tox?
That's the one I'd have number one.
It's well, if you're picking influential, Paul's right with Ed Sullivan. I think you're doing that, or Tonight Show, one of those two, but just from there. But these were just American shows. The most profound television show I watched was the Benny Hill Show. Because
see, there you go.
Every time I would, my grandmother, and my grandmother, who took me to the races and took me to hockey games and took me to baseball games and everyone stuff from there, she would grab me from my parents' house, bring me to her house, and then she would fall asleep in her chair watching Benny Hill. And I would do that with her. That's where I picked up Are You Being Served? That's where I picked up Keeping Up Appearances, All Creatures Great and Small, and Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So all because my grandmother thought Benny Hill was funny as heck. I got pulled into all of those shows that I love and I watch today. So that,
and she was
similar
correct.
to Archie Bunker and all that stuff and All in the Family, right? There's an emotional tie to that for me, and why I don't like it. Doesn't mean it's not a great show. Doesn't mean it didn't have a great impact. It did. It's just doesn't have an emotional tie for me. The Benny Hill show does on that, and that's also where the Tonight Show and Ed Sullivan, all those things I saw with her, and those were shows that have a strong influence on my life.
All right, Brahma.
So I guess I've got a couple of things. For that time period, I guess I would not have put Friends on the list. I think we've decided that was on the list due to that. If I was going to pick a show that would have been something to kind of that age range during that time period, instead, it would be Saved by the Bell would have been on the list over Friends. But the other thing that I would say that was one that every time when you stayed home from school, Price is Right. Was everybody, you watched it every day that you stayed home from school.
That's the thing, is that there was no game shows at all on this list. So
right.
Right, but there was news, so it makes no sense.
Yeah. So, but I would probably go with the Wonder
or
Years.
soap operas for that matter.
Wonder Years.
Based on
Wonder
my
Years,
generation,
I can't
it would
believe
be
wasn't
the
on
Wonder
this
Years.
list. I can't believe it wasn't.
Good call.
Sorry, Brahma. Go ahead.
No, that's the Wonder
Yeah.
Years would have been for my generation. It would have been something during that time period that would have. I mean, it hit with a lot of us in my age range.
Well,
so.
it crossed generations. See, that's the thing I think is important about that show too, is you had the parents and the kids watching with it, where there was the parents were the kids at the time the show was taking place, right? And to us kids, like at that time, no kid actor was bigger than Fred Savage. So I mean, like that's one of the first times I remember knowing a kid actor by name was Fred Savage. Like, you know, yeah. So like, yeah, I agree with you. That's a good one. Yeah.
It helped
Pro.
two generations understand each other a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. Good point. Pro.
Well, I have to go with Ed Sullivan for the most important, influential show of all time. In terms of shows that I personally love, I love South Park. I love Futurama. I love The Office, the first 4 seasons in particular. And I could go on with things that I personally love, but I think I should dedicate, as the final panelist other than you, Tom, I should dedicate this to Mexican Iron Man and say, Alf deserves to be on the list. Just for you, Mike. Just for you, wherever you are.
Well played.
You kind of jumped on, because that was one I was going to bring up, some ones that I couldn't believe didn't make the list, like Alf.
Did the Muppet Show? I came in a little late. Did the Muppet Show make it?
No, it did not. Muppet Show
Twin Peaks make it on
didn't,
there.
Twin Peaks did make it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
it was right above
Family Ties.
Twin Peaks
is
was
another
right
one
above
I
Star
could-
Trek: The Next Generation, without
there-
Star Trek: The Original being on it.
I know.
so bad.
And the
There's a few
Gilmore
others.
Girls wasn't on it. Where's the Gilmore Girls? I love that show.
Golden Girls wasn't even on
the
here. See,
Golden
here's the
Girls.
thing. There's a couple of shows that I could think of that I can't believe weren't on here. And at the same time, like if I had to pick like my personal favorite show, it's usually South Park, if anybody asks me, and depending on which day of the week it is. But if
I'm
I
not
have to
doing
say,
the voice for you right now, Tom.
no,
I'm
you're
not doing
fine.
it. I'm
As
not
far
doing it.
as far as if I have to say a show that's like the most influential or had the most impact on television, I think Paul and you guys are kind of right by going with Ed Sullivan, or The Tonight Show would be another one to probably be second to that. The only thing I got to argue is that just All in the Family and the fact of how many spin-offs it ended up having and the impact that it had and rippled through still to this day in television. I know, Tox and a few other people feel like it may not hold. I don't know. It's not about the hold up part. I still think about it's how it's just influenced television going forward. And the next one to that would probably be Happy Days to go along with Wonder Years. That's a good point. Because
I'm
of just how
coming
many
with this idea,
spin-offs
though,
that had too.
I know they didn't put it in game shows, but really and truly, I'm with the panel on this. That Price is Right and Jeopardy. I don't think Wheel of Fortune matters all that much, but
Yeah,
those
but I
two,
agree.
they
I
really
agree
do
that at
matter.
least if there was 2 game shows that belonged on this list, I agree with you, Pro. And I can't believe none of the animated shows outside of The Simpsons were on here. Like, I can't believe the Flintstones wasn't on here.
Yeah, they opened the door when they put The Simpsons on, because then you start saying,
Yeah,
well,
and not only that,
they had Rocky and Bullwinkle
they did have Rocky and Bullwinkle. That's right. Thanks for reminding me.
way back at the beginning of the list.
Yeah.
Want to see me barely make the top 50?
Barely made top 50. So yeah, Paul, I don't know if you got any more breath left in you or not, but we got one more list we're gonna do here. It says
You
you
got
gotta
5
go,
more
so
hours, Paul. Get to
Paul's
it.
gonna check out here. Before we go,
I'm
don't go
checking
nowhere,
out.
kids. We're gonna do the top 21 films of the 2020s, the 21st century.
Paul, I'm
whatever it is,
following
yeah.
you out of here.
Oh, so you're leaving too, Pro?
Hey, listen, I got a contract with Paul. When he's gone, I'm gone too.
All right, fair enough. So,
Sorry.
Pro and Paul, in
They're the same
whichever
person.
order you decide, plug your wares.
Team PP.
You can find me at Call Me Chato. And the video I've got up right now is where a friend and I, an Egyptologist, are talking about the Netflix show Cleopatra, which is part of my Better Late Than Never review series.
You know what? If my cat was a girl, I would have stole that name from you, but I already got Kunta Kinte, so it doesn't matter.
Nice. Anyways, listen, a pleasure meeting the people I haven't met before, and saying hi to everybody who I have met before. What a group.
We love you, Paul, and I want to thank you for popping in because I've been wanting to do this list for so long, but I saved it for you.
Yeah, I
so
saw the
thank you.
list and I went, I think this was for me.
Oh, we've been saving it for like a month, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We love you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. The show is going to change a little bit, but going forward, just to keep in mind, if you're going to be on, you have to let us know ahead of time because we're going to be doing our own lists going forward after the next couple of weeks here. So yeah.
See you later. Bye,
All
everyone.
right.
See you, Paul.
Take care.
Not Paul.
Keep the door open, Paul.
Same thing for you, Pro. You're always welcome. But yeah, from here on
Thank
out,
you,
I don't know
thank
if you
you,
caught
thank
the announcement earlier, the soft version of it was, we're going to start doing our own lists. When Toxic Man Flu and myself and probably Six get it all sorted out.
You guys will do better, I promise. I mean, you will absolutely beat out the list that we just went through.
Well, that's kind of the inspiration for it, Pro, because everybody's like, well, these lists suck. But they love listening to us banter about them a little bit. But then people are like, you should do your own list. You should do your own. And we were going to go do it like once a month, but then Toxic and I and a few of the other guys were talking like, let's just do it all the time. And I'm just like,
You should.
F it.
I'm on
We're gonna do
board
it.
for this. I will watch. I will listen. I will participate when allowed.
We're still working on the format and all that official business, but yeah, it's going to happen here very, very soon.
Don't let
Top game shows.
WDW
We'll make up
Pro
for it.
guy on here. Top
Okay.
game shows. I'm all over that.
Let's
Match
do
game,
it.
baby.
Top game shows.
Woohoo!
Well, that's the beauty of it, pros. We already kind of have an idea, and that's what we're going to do is if we have special guests like say yourself, we'll try to tailor lists that work for
Did
the
you
individual.
know?
And if you pick
You
something
know
like that,
that,
that's what we're going to do. Yeah.
Did you know that Paul Rubin did Pee Wee Herman on TV for the very first time on the Match Game?
Yes.
Mhm. That was 88. Which one was it?
Was not well
Oh
refined.
no,
yet,
it was
though.
way early on.
Yeah.
And he technically Pee Wee's film debut was not Pee Wee's Big Adventure, as most people believe either.
What
Was
was
it
it?
Back to the
Tom?
Beach?
No.
Was it Back to the Beach?
No,
No, it was Debbie Does Dallas. He was in
actually-
the audience.
actually, Back to the Beach was a year after Big Adventure, but no, he was on
Right,
Cheech and Chong's Nice Dreams.
Mr. Lizard.
There you
The
go.
password for today is W.
And actually, I take next movie. I believe actually he was on that, but the next movie was where he actually did Pee Wee Herman in the movie. That's right.
Mhm.
Sorry, I had to remind myself. Yes. So
Yeah, and the
he
good
was
thing
part of
about
the
doing like
Groundlings. Yeah.
a special show with like Paul or WDW Pro and working that out is we can dive into these in our list a little deeper. right? So
dig a little deeper, baby. Dig a little deeper.
Yeah, I love the show Password, and mostly because Betty White and her husband Alan Ludden met there, and she still talks very fine. Well, did talk very fondly about him. So a lot of good lore there.
I think some of the SCTV game shows should have been on there, like Half Wits and Shoot at the Stars.
I like Half Wits. I thought that was really good.
That was a good game show. Yeah.
I wasn't really great that I lost to you on that show, but that's okay.
But
was it what? I was on it. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
And you still lost to me.
But anyway, Pro, it's going to be an interesting week with the strikes, at least the writers' side, coming to a somewhat.
That's right. The one strike is unstruck, but guess what? They've still got to go through the ratification process. We don't yet know the details, and what that means is with artificial intelligence and writers' room minimums hanging in the balance, the writers may actually not be fully on board with ratification. They need more than just a simple majority to get this passed through. This is sort of an unprecedented moment where you could actually see the thousands of writers be a little bit skeptical about this because their very livelihoods are at stake here. So I'll be covering that over in the WDW Pro channel. We've got videos every day, 10:30 a.m., 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, each and every day, folks. Pro Show is Thursdays, 5 to 7 p.m. Check us out, and I am off to play another 7 hours of Plinko in honor of Price is Right being left off the list. Later, all.
Take care, brother.
Hey, buddy.
Bro.
All right, and I believe Andy's also going to check out on us, right?
Yeah, I got to get some sleep.
Yeah,
I got to work in the morning.
I thought you say that. All right, so check out Andy's channel. Anything you got to plug?
Be on Doomcock Show on Wednesday night. We'll be going over Excalibur.
Ooh,
good show.
And probably
Excalibur.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Take care, brother.
Cheers, Andy. Bye.
See ya.
All right, let's
Later,
get
Andy.
through this list. We got a couple super chats we're going to grab first, and then we'll buzz through this list so we can get it out of the way since this was the one you guys voted on. Mr. Blue Cat says, breaking WGA agrees to end strike. Yep, we actually covered that for a brief moment earlier, but we'll probably cover it in more depth on the morning show. SGT Point Blank says The Wire on HBO. There you go. There's another one.
The Wire. Yeah.
Yeah. Thomas Dean says, Buck Futter. Okay.
Buck Futter.
Jason Webster says, rumored Disney park for Gold Coast, Australia.
Truth.
I wish I would have grabbed this before Pro left. Sorry about that, Jason. No other animated shows like Motu, Transformers, Scooby-Doo, Inspector Gadget, Conan the Adventurer, Danger Mouse, etc., etc. Well, Danger Mouse, I think, was British, wasn't it? That UK show, if I'm not mistaken.
Can't
Or the
remember.
other. But yeah, no, there's a lot of absences from this list and some that make you scratch your head. Like, why is this on here? But yeah. Christian Delorme's been a member for 17 months. Thank you for that. Thank you so very much. And let's get on with this list. We've got the 21 best movies of the 21st century so far, according to, I guess, MSN. Because they don't even have an author on here.
Well, AI
nobody
wrote
wants to
it.
take credit for it.
It was written by AI.
That or it's just going by like probably
Just
Rotten
thinking,
Tomatoes or some shit.
This ratification thing, does it need 2/3 of them to ratify it in the case of wielding supreme executive power? Or
I don't know.
is it a mandate from the masses?
It's
How
a
does it
date,
work?
man. All right, let's go. Mulholland Drive.
This is so they're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now that's going backwards, we'll say, because this is where it starts. But yeah,
It was okay.
What was Dark Knight 1 since that was the first slide?
I don't think
like
so.
It didn't.
It
give a
doesn't
name,
say.
did it? It just said 1.
It says no. There's 22 slides, so this is just.
It's the slide number. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
David Lynch's Mulholland Drive came out in 2001.
It was okay.
I barely remember this movie.
Yeah.
I remember it being like, yeah, it was all right. It wasn't one of Lynch's best, but okay.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know why this is on that list.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah,
This one I can see why it's on here.
Pretty good movie.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite of the Pixar's.
Mm-hmm. It filled Fred Woolard in it. It was good.
Yeah.
The wife and kids loved it.
Yep.
In the Mood for Love. I don't even know what the hell this movie is.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Don't remember. Mad Max Fury Road. Woke.
Yeah, what the fuck is this doing on this list?
Yeah.
That's the one I went, what?
I'm triggering a bunch of people right now, but I don't care what you say. Watch it again. It's proto fucking woke. Mad Max gets fucking put in the back seat in his own goddamn
extra
movie.
in his own movie. Yeah.
2 off strong whammies.
You think he just would have become Venom and killed them all, but whatever.
Oh Lord. That not only that, it's like there's no fucking reason Mel Gibson shouldn't be in this movie other than Hollywood's a bunch of fucking assholes. Another reason why it's woke.
Yep.
He's making us come back.
Good. I hope we do get a real Mad Max.
Isn't it in the
He was pretty good in the new Continental.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that came out. What is that on? Peacock?
Peacock.
Amazon.
I'll have to check that
Okay.
out.
So
It's gonna be
Prime.
It's Amazon internationally. It's Peacock.
I still gotta watch
in the US.
So there's only one episode out though, out of 3.
Right. There's going to be 3 episodes every Friday. They're
90
releasing
minutes?
I'm gonna wait
90-minute
till they're all out.
episodes. So it's like a trilogy of movies, really.
Okay.
And you enjoyed it though.
It was good. Mel Gibson's good.
It wasn't bad.
We'll see where they take the story. But
Mel Gibson's always good though, so there you go.
it was very watchable.
Old Boy, the original 2004.
Yes, I agree. Totally.
Mhm. Yeah, this is a good one.
Can't say I know
Great
this one.
actor. Troy Minsick. Great actor.
Roma. Don't know this one too well. I've heard of it, but never seen
Roma?
Nope.
Yeah.
The Turin. What the fuck?
Oren Pesh.
Who wrote this thing?
Yeah.
I want to know
the international film student wrote this.
I was gonna say I want to know the
Turin horse.
quantifier for this. Yeah.
This is exactly why we have to make our own list.
Step Brothers. Okay.
All right. I stopped
For a
here,
comedy?
and that's when I dropped it in there. I was like, okay.
I love Step
Turin
Brothers.
horses.
For a comedy,
Hungarian.
it's one of the best in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
All right. Beast of the Southern Wild. I vaguely remember that film. Yeah. I don't think I saw it though.
Yeah.
It's
It's an art house
act
list.
of killing. Yeah, this is a bunch of art house shit.
This is all art house. Yeah. Apart from Step Brothers.
Yeah. Hereditary. Okay, well, there's at least a horror film, even though it's a A24 horror film.
That guy's flaming.
He's flaming. cool.
This
He
is
is.
such a. This
He's
is
come out of the closet.
Such a progressive movie. He's flaming.
Uncle Boone Me, who can recall his past. What the
Absolutely never. No. Whatever that is.
Never even heard of it.
Nope.
The fuck? The Green Knight. I thought this movie bombed.
It was boring.
It bombed hard.
Yeah.
It was extremely boring.
That's what I heard. Like, I didn't even open my Blu-ray because everybody said it sucked, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm not gonna watch that now.
I mean, it had some nice visuals, but the movie itself was boring.
15
and
is
very
The
slow.
Dark Knight. Really? This isn't any
Yeah.
higher.
Yeah. That's why this list sucks balls.
Lady Bird. Oh,
No.
fuck
Oh,
you.
whatever.
No.
Yee Yee. What the fuck is Yee Yee?
So there's only been 2 good movies so far. Well, 2.5.
Yep.
There's only been 4
Tropic
movies. that we read.
Thunder!
Now we're talking.
Yes, one of the last great comedies.
The last.
That was the
week
same
coming.
year as Step
Well,
Brothers.
Step Brothers came out like the same year after.
Booty
yeah.
sweat, baby.
Yeah.
Booty sweat, baby.
Gotta get my booty sweat. I
do
got
you
your
mean, you
Devo.
I'm just a guy.
Oh man, Matthew
Best
McConaughey's
Tom Cruise role
ever.
They're too soft.
Booty juice.
He's dancing at the end. What?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you? I'm the guy that wrote the book. Well, thank you for your sacrifice. We salute you. Now, would you kindly shut the fuck up and let me do my job?
Yes.
Can't believe neither of you has gone into Simple Comics
I
yet.
want you. Where's the key
That's right,
grab?
I'm
Key
just
grab.
waiting
You.
for it.
You.
Just waiting for
Punch the director in the face.
You said it.
really
Simple
hard.
Comics 4. The Search for TiVo. People don't even remember what
First thing I want you
TiVo
to do
is.
is take a step back and fuck your own face.
I just picked up the old DVD collector's edition for 25 cents the other day.
Oh man.
Nice.
Yeah, just
Nice.
the DVD, not the Blu-ray, but it's the dual disc one.
Mhm.
It's 25 cents.
And they will be missed.
Yep.
And then
Would not be made today.
And after a
No.
small
No
time
way.
period of mourning, we'll file a tax tax claim just before the end of the year. So you're saying I should do this for money? No, I'm saying we're going to do it for a shitload
Shitload of money.
Playa.
You never go full retard.
Never go full retard.
I'm just
Tom
a dude
Hanks,
who thinks he's a
Forrest
dude
Gump.
playing another
Sure.
dude.
The dude.
Semi-retarded.
What do you
Dumb as
mean,
hell.
you people?
Not retarded.
What do you mean?
Sean Penn.
Sean Penn, no? Went full retard, right? Went home
You never go full retard.
Never go full retard. Rain Man. Seems retarded. But he's not. He's autistic. Different.
And I think that's how they get away with it.
Okay, we better stop before we get in trouble.
Better
Here,
keep
boy.
going,
Yep.
yeah.
Keep
Okay,
going.
here's one of the most overrated fucking films of all time, and I hate saying it because I love Richard Linklater. But it was like, how do you come up with this excellent concept yet have absolutely fucking nothing happen for 2 hours in your movie?
Yep.
Oh my god, it was so boring.
Never
Nothing
saw it.
happens. Sorry, what were you saying, Brown?
Never saw it. And
Okay, well the gimmick is
it won
he got-
Best Director and Best Picture. That
it
explains
won
why I
on the
never
gimmick
saw it.
alone. Okay, now Richard Linklater's a guy who made like Dazed and Confused and shit like that. So he's a decent director.
Yeah.
But what the concept here was is he cast a bunch of people and a kid who was young, and the whole idea was every few years he'd come back and film them.
Oh, that one. Okay.
And like, yeah, he didn't
Mm-hmm.
kind of pre-plan anything, it seems like, though, because it's just boring and nothing really happens, and it's becomes this.
I think he was hoping that something would happen in the kid's life that would be the point of the film.
Yeah.
Maybe,
didn't
maybe
happen.
not. I don't know, because it's like mostly about the parents getting a divorce and shit. It's fucking stupid.
And it could be him just showing a film about real life.
Yeah, and I see like a lot of you guys agree with me that it's overrated as fuck. Yeah.
So it's like he tried to do a real life Truman Show to a degree, but
the kid knew, but
like
yeah.
real life, nothing actually happens.
You want to know the truth? What I think it is? I think he was hoping that this kid was going to be some breakout fucking star in the meantime.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I honestly think, because he didn't really have a script. That's the other problem. There's a lot of improvisation from what I know, too, from what I heard. Hidden Life, never heard of it. It's a hidden gem, evidently, according to them.
Christian
movie
Hidden
about
Life
World War
about
II.
World War
Okay.
II. Yeah.
A Separation. This looks like
God, no.
from the names of it, it's not a US film from what I can tell.
Hideous.
Okay, here we go. Here's something more like it. There Will Be Blood.
There's
Okay.
something in that. Yeah.
All right.
But that's the end of the list.
That's the end of the list. Fuck this
That was
list.
it?
You guys
Yep.
picked a really shitty list out there in the chat. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. That's
All
it.
right,
We're
so we're
going
getting
after the
past that.
chat. Yeah, screw
All right,
that.
so here's the thing: we've got the Halloween list left. We're gonna save that for when we can get 6 in here because she's gonna be really pissed at me if we don't. And
Yeah, we'll do Halloween when she's available next.
So that'll
and
probably
we'll
be
go
like
through
2
all
weeks from now.
85 of
Go
those.
through all 85 of those. So we'll try and find at least one more list for next week. So we got 2 weeks talks that gives us to figure out what the fuck we're gonna do with the show and work out scheduling and all that business. So hopefully by then we'll have a name and we'll have
I have a name for it. We forget. I think that we should do our top 10 films starring bald men.
You know, that option is always
What
on the
about
table.
bald
That's the
women?
beauty
Can we
of
have
it.
bald women like Star Trek?
Top 10 films with bald women.
Star
I think
Trek
we should
motion
do it.
picture?
I guess what we should we ask the audience the big question we were asking ourselves, Tox, or
Yeah, why not?
well, because we're trying to figure out, would you guys rather it be each of us our own individual lists, or should we each have each of our guests or panelists and guest throw our lists together and do an amalgamized list of like the top 25 of all our top 10s? Because we have like ways we can quantify it through some.
That takes a lot more coordination.
Well, it's going to be
People
hard.
just
It's
bringing
going
their
to be a
list.
lot of work. Well, people just bringing their list is going to be still a lot of work. The way we're
I have a better idea. Invite guests, get them to bring their list, then we can criticize it, and that's
And we can tear it apart.
Okay, so part of this stuff here, this is why we had a meeting twice in the last 2 days.
I think my idea of the top 30 porn parodies was probably the best idea. But
Yeah, I like that.
Well, are
one.
we doing TV, movies, books, and games, or just
Pretty
TVs
much
and
any
movies?
Wide
entertainment
open.
media wise, yeah, kind of wide open in that respect,
But it
as long
needs
as
to
it's
be
related to.
fairly easy to compile.
What we
because,
okay?
as you've seen, it's hard.
What's
to
funny
produce.
is I think Brian, were you at the first meeting or not? I can't remember. don't
I
think you were.
couldn't make it. I was on another.
Yeah,
show.
so neither one of you two made it to either one of the meetings, and then I talked to Tox last night afterwards. But yeah, so I meant to talk about a lot of this kind of stuff off the stream, but
Well, we can
yeah.
Do it after the stream.
Yeah, well, we'll talk after the stream if not. But no, like the basic concept for everybody who's kind of so far, what we have is like we'll have four weekends in a month. One weekend a month, we're definitely going to do like best of year, right? So what we're trying to figure out though is should we start in like the 1930s, which is kind of when modern filmmaking begins, or should we start with a more popular decade, and then once we hit the end of a decade, then we'll do like our favorite top 10 of that decade. So basically, like, but like the first one we'll do like 1970, and then 1971 the next month over or whatever. Yeah, like this stuff is going to keep rolling over into weeks and other things. So and then we'll come up with goofy ones and ones that will be tailored to our guests as we move along too. Like Pro already said he wants to do a best game shows. Well, we already got one, so there you go. That's kind of the concept there. So again, we're just trying to figure out how you guys want to see it, how we're going to do it, and how much work it's going to be for me and Tox to get this done. Basically,
right?
And how soon we're going to fund people for their shit.
There's an hour limit, and once we hit it, yeah, screw you guys. We'll do whatever's easiest.
I say we bring our list and then have the chat vote us off one by one.
Yes.
Well, there's going to be polls. There's going to be polls and other things that we're going to be doing.
Midnight's Edge, Survivor Island.
Yeah. Your list sucks. You're gone.
Yeah.
How did you put that movie in that spot? See ya.
We'll put up a poll. Just have our names on there. Like, get rid of this guy. What'll happen is I'll just say every show that Spider-Man's the worst character ever been created, and I'll just be off the show instantly.
Before it starts.
No, Joey just hit it. Last list standing.
Last list standing.
Oh,
that's a great name. Yeah.
Of course, it's Tom's channel, so maybe he should have the input.
It needs to have a voting element, I think. Like whatever we do, maybe it's everyone goes round in rounds, and nominates a movie, and then it gets voted on by the chat, and then that movie survives to make the final list, and then at the end we have our.
Now we thought about doing something like that too, where you have some kind of round robin voting, because it's the 1984-82 discussion, I think, that really started a lot of this.
Yeah.
And what I thought of doing with that was taking a movie from 82 and 84 and pitting them against each other, and then providing that to like a community poll or a Twitter poll, and have people vote on it. And then whoever survives to the end, that's the year that won. So we thought about doing something like that. And we thought about multiple formats. You can pull movies out of a hat, so you can have, kind of to figure, doing that. But we really want to make sure that we get the chat involved in what we're doing. Either, on stream.
Yeah, we're going to have some polls during the stream, and I'm going to be putting some out on Twitter, whatever, X, or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Right. So, but to do it correctly, and that means there's got to be a balance in what it takes to put that together, who's going to be able to be there. I think the special guest shows are going to be a lot of fun, because you can, like Paul with wanting to do the comedies. So we take that comedy list. What wasn't on there? What are we going to do? And I know 70s, if we were to do British comedies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just going through that. And I want to have some level of coordination between us, because let's just say if we took 1984, you'd have, and we did a top 12, there'd probably 7 to 8 films that all of us would have on that list.
Right.
And then you end up, okay, this, that, the other thing. And that's why.
And this is where, this is something we had a discussion about, where if we do it as a surprise and people don't know, if you run into we have to say okay, if we come into a list and say we're doing 1984 and number 7 is Gremlins for you, Brahma. Well, if that's my number 1 for 84, then I've got to say, well, that's also my number 1, and we'll only talk about it once. We're not going to bring it up again 3 times throughout the show.
It's on my list. I've got it at this ranking instead of what you've got it at, and then we just have one discussion on it. Yeah.
So we're kind of trying to work those kind of kinks out, basically. Yeah.
Well, instead of voting people off or something, we could even do like brackets for the year and have a top 10 bracket and have everybody display their bracket or something and see who wins according to chat based on their rankings of certain things. But that would involve us getting together beforehand and coming up with the 10 that are on the bracket or the 20 that are on the bracket.
Right.
So
and we thought about everybody doing their 10 list, and then we put it together, and that's what Tom had said earlier. And then we come up with that list of like top 15. So out of those 10, there'd be 15, maybe do honorable mentions or something like that. And give away, so 70s puts Electric Boogaloo as number 1 from 84. That's going to get 10 points. I put it also at number 2 because Breakin's going to be number 1. Then it would get 9. So then it would have 19. We'd go from there. And you guys would rightfully not put that shit film on your list. And you're right. So it would have 19 points, right, out of 4 people.
Kind of like the Eurovision Song Contest, if you know what that is. Except for movies.
For movies, exactly. So, which Eurovision with Will Ferrell. Amy Adams.
That's the idea.
Not Amy Adams.
I like Amy Adams.
Yeah, what's her name? Is it Amy Adams? She was in Sherlock Holmes.
No, that's Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams. Sorry, she was in it. I liked it. At the Eurovision show, it was kind of funny. She made it funny.
It was worthwhile. It's worth doing.
So we'll do something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's. I think so.
Tom's
We got
still
Jason Webster says, panelists, your best film of the 21st century. That's a good question.
Is that this century or last?
Yeah,
century?
this is
this century.
This century. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's tough. I can't do these off the top of my head. I have to think about it.
I mean, that's hard because Highlander 2 was before this.
That's
So.
right. Well, that film didn't. There's no such film. What do you mean Highlander 2? It doesn't exist. It was never made.
Wow.
21st century.
Well,
that's Darth Scipio says Gladiator, and that's a good choice.
That's a very good film. That's a very good film.
Gosh, I gotta think. Since 2000,
I can't even remember.
probably somewhere between The Two Towers or
I could piss everybody off and say Inception.
Well, Darth Scipio would not like this list I just pulled up because it's got him at 94.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. When was the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
That was 2000s. That's what I'm saying. And I
I'm
picked
gonna
Two
count
Towers
this as
as
one
my
movie.
favorite, but yeah.
Counting that as
So I mean, the
one
Lord
movie.
of the Rings trilogy is probably one of the biggest accomplishments, and then you got to give the Marvel Cinematic Universe credit at least up through Infinity War.
So, Captain Marvel, you mean?
Well, Infinity War is kind of an end of the story. That's before Captain Marvel.
I mean, a quotable film, Anchorman.
I said Infinity War, not Endgame.
Oh.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Tox.
I would say I Anchorman I thought was a great. I like the comedies, they make me laugh. So I thought Anchorman was good, but I wouldn't say best film of the 21st century. Yeah, I don't think there is one.
I might pick Return of the King if I had to say one then.
Mm.
If I was forced to pick one movie, that would be.
Well, yeah, it depends on the criteria for me of a good film is, do I watch it? Will I go back and watch it again? Right.
And I've watched that a few times.
Yeah, and I don't go back and watch the Lord of the Rings film. So, if you cut out all the parts with the hobbits in it, I'd be fine. So
I've watched Inception about 15 times. Does that count?
Inception is good.
Inception, yeah. Train to Busan. I like that. I'm very fond of that movie.
I might go with something like Deadpool.
I
like funny movies, and there haven't been that many since the early 2000s. So Deadpool's about the latest comedy that was actually good, and it hits the comic book thing too. So, I mean, it's not that great of a movie, but it's a good, funny movie.
The good thing is that as the 21st century wears on, it becomes easier because there's less to pick from.
Yeah, we're only going to have the first 10 years of it to really pick from anyway.
That's right.
Well, I mean, when did South Park come out? That was in the 90s, right?
Yeah, it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Team America.
Team America World Police. That's what I say. If I were going to pick a number one, it would be Team America World Police. Because
I do love, God, it's tough. But I have to just
this
pick
list that
one.
I'm digging it through as the top 100 had Gladiator at 94 and Team America World Police at number 10.
Well, at least it's got its priorities right.
Got priorities right. I mean, this is talking about movies across the world. I mean, who's watching this shit?
Yeah, that's the problem with half these lists is they add in.
They have Boyhood at number 3, and we know that that's a shit film.
I had not even heard of some of those movies.
Yeah.
And I
Number one for them is There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Actually,
I mean,
you know what? I'd probably put John Wick.
You know, the original John Wick. Yeah, I will watch that again and again. Yeah,
I watch it over and over and over all the time. I hated 4, but John Wick 1 was one of the best movies that's come out in a long time.
It's it was original. An original concept. No, I mean that kind of stuff has happened before as far as a story type, but that was an original film at the time.
Another one that I might put up there is The Kingsman, the first Kingsman.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I thought that was a fantastic movie too.
That was a good movie.
I'd be tempted to put The Transporter in there as well, because I've watched that about 20 times. I think.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Smoking Aces. I like those.
I mean, there are a lot of good movies. There's just less as the years go on.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I mean, they're not up there with like The Godfather or anything.
Yeah,
so.
they're not. Melissa McCarthy and Spy, the unedited version. It has to be that because Jason Statham is freaking hilarious in that, in the outtakes and stuff. But yeah, it's hilariously funny to me. That kind of raunchy slapstick type humor that I would get in something like Blazing Saddles. It was that off the wall. When she's looking at that camera footage and it's just that guy with his giant dong. He's, my God, he just keeps taking pictures of his penis. It just keeps going and going. It's hilarious.
Speaking of Statham, I watched Expendables 4. It's just a Statham movie.
Really? Yeah, that's what it seemed like, didn't it? Yeah. It looked like that was what it was going to be.
About an hour and 40 minutes of Statham.
I don't think there's going to be. There was supposedly this was a trilogy. I don't think there's going to be a second and third one. Then is there?
Well, I mean, everyone else in the film outside of him is too old to do this stuff. I mean, even Jet Li is. Yeah, he's pushing 60 something.
Yeah, Tom was pretty right on it though. It was not good. It is just a Statham movie, which typically isn't a bad thing, except that that's not what this series is supposed to be. So it kind of didn't work. Not a horrible movie, but also not something I'd see again.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Zoolander was 01.
Oh, well. Yeah, that counts. Good stuff. Anyway,
Don't Mess with the Zohan.
I like that one.
I like that film. That made me laugh.
I like Emmanuelle Sharik or whatever her name is.
I like the fact he's having sex with the dude's mom, talking to him.
Right.
It's just, come on, can you do what? Your mom, she deserves to be happy. Come on. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah,
anywho.
Oh, somebody said Wedding Crashers unrated. Yeah, Wedding Crashers
That's funny.
was pretty damn good. Probably my favorite and maybe Tom's favorite of this year is Tetris. I don't know how many people ended up seeing it, but the movie was fantastic.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That'll be one of the candidates for movie of the year, I think, definitely.
Top Gun.
For me, yeah.
Yeah, Top Gun was good. Kill Bill, Putin's Cat, but Kill Bill. Yeah, those were films I really enjoyed. Southern Belle 7777 put Little Women. You're now off the show. All right.
Could be the Korean drama Little
Oh,
Women,
it could be
which
that
is a
one.
different
Oh,
thing
Rogue Thought
entirely.
just put in a good one. Idiocracy.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
One of the funniest and most prophetic movies in the 2000s.
That's a documentary, not a drama.
Yep.
Yeah.
Comedy.
It's a
Anymore.
how-to manual.
It's a how-to
And the weird
manual.
thing is, both sides claim that it's about the other side
I
equally.
know. Only one of them can be right.
Well, that's what I
Or
say. Two
maybe
sides of the
not.
same coin. In the end,
Maybe not,
it's
yes.
both of them. That's how it turns out.
Yeah.
You gotta fight that stuff. But yeah, Idiocracy.
I don't know. I mean, it's if you were to include special television shows, I think I would have put Chernobyl in there. It's not a
Okay,
movie I
Southern
know,
Belle.
but-
Southern Belle
Chernobyl's
said
good.
she didn't write Clueless, so yes, you're back on the show.
I actually kind of like Clueless.
Clueless is all right. It was better than I thought it was going to be going
But it
into
came out when I
television.
was in high school, I think. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
the
it kinda
Pirates
fit.
movies were really good.
Last Millennial says, Tom, will censorship on these apps ever get better? No, probably not.
No.
It'll get worse.
It'll change, but it'll never get better. Last Millennial says, I'm saying like with will fairness and speech get better? No. They'll allow certain things over time, but then they'll just find something else they can come down on. Because trust me, they constantly want us under the tack or the thumb or whatever you want to call it, to where if they want to and they can and they have to, they can push the button on us at any time.
Yep.
I don't know how familiar you guys are with like Darth News, but he's somebody we had on recently, and he's had his channels completely attacked by everybody and struck down and everything else. And he's not doing anything to really hurt anybody. He's just reporting on shit, and because people want to go after him, that's just the way it is. And when you have a lot of those same people working for these same companies that think the same way, it's not going to change really, at least not anytime soon.
Telling the truth is a revolutionary act.
I know, right?
That was defined.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Transformers: The Last Night is probably the best movie of the 21st century.
I'm not a producer. I cannot kick you off the stream, but I am kicking you in the nuts figuratively right now.
Oh, Lord.
I couldn't say it with a straight face. I
No,
was
you
going to try and
couldn't.
deadpan
All
that.
right. Brahma, do you have anything you got to plug, buddy?
Little Nicky.
Monday Night Meltdown tomorrow night on Comics Division's channel. Me and Tox are on that panel, and then I may actually fire up some Mortal Kombat or something tonight and do something on my channel. So
Have you played? Are you talking about that new Mortal Kombat 1 game or whatever?
Yep.
How is it? I haven't touched it yet. I haven't played it, bought it, nothing.
It's all right. I haven't played the story mode. I just went straight into playing actual people, and I'm about 50%
Like
right
the
now.
graphics wise, is it cool? Is it easy to pick up the controller and just play? Or
The backgrounds are fantastic. The controls, yeah, they're responsive. The character models are absolutely horrible. I mean, in an era where you can do photorealistic faces in games, they all look like ugly putty.
Can't
It's
be as bad as
stupid
Bethesda.
bad.
Come on.
There's a few that are bad. Every one of the females looks horrible. They
Yeah, but
didn't do it
that's
as
a big
bad
deal.
to the guys, but every one of the females looks horrible.
So it's a
But it's
misogynist
been pretty fun
stream.
so far. Yeah. But fun game though. Tox, what do you got going on?
yeah, Tox, what you got going on?
Talks.
Nothing. I'm going to be like, well, we got the Monday Night Meltdown. If you guys actually want to kind of sort of show up, yeah, be cool. Yeah, smoking jacket. Yeah,
We'll be there.
we'll be there. Well, Comics had a member stream, and I missed it.
So did I.
Yeah.
Is it over? He has
Yeah.
been doing those pretty late.
Well, I don't want to get you fired from that, so we're gonna have to discuss that.
What? Oh, I'm not. Yeah, no. I get fired daily and rehired.
Well, that's right. You're technically not even hired. Yeah.
Yeah. No. We're gonna have to work some of that stuff out because I think it's important to have this show to try and laugh and kind of poke fun at each other's lists. I mean, I joke about Breaking and Breaking 2 in '84.
Good
But
movies. They are good movies.
Yes, it was a fad that year, and everyone dressed like that, and
They
so
were
did I.
slightly ahead of the curve canon when they made those. So they actually did have some good artists in them.
Yeah.
Doing this, the first one particularly was quite groundbreaking. But Anyway,
there was a lot of street dancing and things that was going on everywhere. It's kind of like Urban Cowboy. What was the one with John Travolta?
Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday. No,
Don't
where he was
pick
doing
Urban
the Urban
Cowboy.
Cowboy. Was it the one where he was doing the line dancing?
Yeah.
Yeah, but line dancing was sweeping the nation. People were doing all that stuff. So that was, everybody wanted to be a cowboy there. So the 80s, 90s, we all did stupid shit. So it was a lot of fun. But I think we need to do this show and do that. So Monday Night Meltdown, we're going to start reaching out to more guests and bringing people on that show. Yelling at Parked Cars, Rumble exclusive on Wednesdays because of what's happening on this platform and others. And then Thursday night, the row down. So we're working on a bunch of stuff behind the scenes. Beach Punk. So mixtees.com/beachpunk. We've got some merch sitting over there around Barbie and Duck Disney and some other stuff that doing. Part of what I was working on tonight was the merch shop that we're putting together for that. And we've got some shows that we're looking at doing, Christmas special and a couple of award shows. And it's just a matter of me getting them done and everything organized for us to start recording and doing some stuff over that. Yeah.
And we're only
Awesome.
about 2 weeks away from hockey season starting. So Brian can tell you about what me and him do.
Okay, Brian, go ahead.
That way. Well, yeah, we're going to get Bourbon and Boarding ramped up again, which is Bram and I's hockey show where we sit and sip fine liquor, fancy liquor, and watch.
I do that every night anyway.
Grown men beating the shit out of each other on the ice.
Yeah.
And it's called Bourbon and Boarding, and it's usually, it still will be on Saturday night at 10 p.m. Mountain Time. I think
unless we move it forward an hour. Yeah,
Unless
that's when we did it.
We may move it forward an hour. That clashes with the Cotton Council Snowdub show,
yeah.
where although I'm not on it, I have some puppets that are strangely sound like me on it. So I don't know. But yeah, so Bourbon and Boarding will be, and I must do something about the Fantasy Hockey League, but I've looked at it, but I haven't set it up yet. So Bourbon and Boarding will be returning in, I think there was actually preseason games today.
Yes.
A couple of weeks time. But before then, and I know there's at least one person in the chat will be glad to hear this, by popular demand, my show tomorrow on my channel, that 70s Rock Fan, it will be, well, this gentleman the show will be about would have been approaching his 69th birthday next week. It's the great Stevie Ray Vaughan. So that is the subject of tomorrow's show.
So he's the pride and joy of your show tomorrow?
Yes, and he is the pride and joy. And you'll be caught in the crossfire if you happen to watch that show. And the house will be rocking.
But we'll be knocking.
And the sky will be crying. Actually, the show will be 2 hours of me reciting song titles. That's going to be it.
That's all it's going to be.
Until you run out.
So. No, we're going to celebrate Stevie Ray, the late great Stevie Ray. So Dallas, born and bred.
All right, sounds good.
And it's better than you talking about your sex life. Love by the Drop.
Well, it's actually by the Bale of Wool.
The Bale of Wool.
And we lose the audience quite quickly. With that, see me on the morning show tomorrow. And Last Millennial says, what would take to get better? Does there need to be an alternative to that of YouTube that prioritizes fairness and is creator friendly? Partially, and Rumble is part of that. But YouTube has a reach that nobody else does. That's the thing.
That's the problem.
Right.
And
most of us have Rumbles, but that doesn't make the audience move there with us.
No, unfortunately, that's the case. And Rumble's not built into most apps, or not an app that's built into most phones and players
Smart
and other
TVs
things.
and stuff. Yeah.
Well, Rumble's suing Google. They've caught them saying that they do throttle competitors' content. So what it's going to take is something I don't advocate for normally, but it's going to take the FCC stepping in and saying, you know what, this has to be a level playing field for everybody. Google and YouTube, you are now subject to FCC rules.
And that's not going to happen for a while.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. So, They got too much power going on with this right now. They got too many things going out with the Ninth Circuit and some other stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
So it's going to
Look
take
at all these bald fuckers on the screen.
You going and supporting these alternative platforms, and it's always been the way. Yeah, that's what it's going to take. You can't do the convenient thing. You have to go do what you know to be the right thing, which is supporting independent creators in ways that doesn't give. I mean, that's Super Chat, $4.99. 30% of that went straight to YouTube, right? To fight what we're, to do what you're talking about.
Unfortunately,
that's just nature of the beast from there. So it's like the government supposedly is only supposed to take 10, 15%. That's why they seem to have unlimited money. They've got everybody's from there. And then YouTube does the same basic thing. So,
well, doesn't look like there is going to be a Culture Casino show tonight, obviously.
Nope.
But
no. He wanted to do that at 10, but because you were doing this and told him to screw off, he decided to go back to sleep.
And I don't know how much longer they're going for, but send Mark D with a C some love. Him and Clobby are streaming right now. Here's the link. Head on over there, raid their stream, tell them we sent you. Raid them. Those are two wonderful, excellent guys. Of course, Clobby hops on all the time on Midnight's Edge After Dark, and when he can here on the Sunday night show as well.
Bastion of knowledge.
Yes,
that man knows a.
And Mark D with a C is also an undersung
Mark's
YouTuber.
a wonderful guy, Mark. Yeah, streamed with him a lot. He's a really nice guy.
And I want to thank Six for all her help as usual as a great producer. And with that, see you on the morning show. Take care of yourselves and each other. Head on over and say hi to those guys over there. And they're talking some nerd stuff. Go.
Excuse me, ma'am. No porn at the bar.
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh.